Chapter 106. Entertainment Island. This was an island 20 kilometers away from Beast Island. The island was well equipped with entertainment facilities. There were bars, water parks, and various gourmet restaurants. Moreover, the scenery was beautiful and the seawater was clear. Many people liked to come here for a vacation. Meanwhile, a spaceship was parked in the parking lot of the entertainment island. This time, the teachers, crew members, and the captain of the spaceship were enjoying themselves to the fullest during these 5 days of rest. After all, this was a rare vacation time. At this moment, a crew member was on duty on the spaceship. He was sound asleep with a newspaper covering his head. On the table in front of him was a cup of steaming hot coffee and a half-eaten milk bread. Do. At this moment, the alarm on the spaceship immediately rang. It vibrated violently, scaring the crew member into jumping up. He accidentally dropped the cup of coffee and the coffee spilled all over the floor. What's going on? Could it be that some students couldn't stand the harsh environment on Beast Island and decided to give up? The crew member rubbed his eyes and looked at the red dots on the screen. The appearance of a red dot meant that one person had given up and had to go to the rescue. Wait, what's going on? Why are there so many red dots? Almost all of them have given up. Seeing the densely packed red dots on the screen, the crew member's expression changed drastically. He immediately knew that things had gotten out of hand. In the past trials, even if there were people who had given up, it had never reached the level of collective forfeiture. Moreover, this red dot signal was sent 2 days ago, but we only received it now. Could it be that someone blocked the signal on Beast Island? Thinking of this, the crew member's hair stood on end. He didn't know why someone would do such a thing, but he knew that this matter wasn't something he could handle. He had to report to the captain immediately. 3 minutes later, the spaceship left Entertainment Island and headed towards Beast Island at its fastest speed. The captain, crew members, and teachers from various schools had grave expressions on their faces. Originally, they were still enjoying the beach, seawater, and delicacies on Entertainment Island. However, because of this news, they had to return to the spaceship immediately to deal with this sudden incident. Damn it! Captain Luo Jian's expression was extremely gloomy. Why did we only receive the distress signal 2 days after the students sent it? Are you all here for nothing? I'm sorry. Someone blocked the signal on Beast Island and even simulated the signal. At the same time, we were careless and didn't check carefully, so we didn't notice it. The crew members were ashamed. This was their dereliction of duty. Cut the crap. How much longer until we reach the Beast Island? Qiushu stared at the captain, her body emitting a terrifying murderous aura. She no longer wanted to find out why this had happened. Right now, she only wanted to reach Beast Island as soon as possible and rescue those students. Everyone present knew how serious it was for the students to collectively send out a distress signal. Something that they couldn't handle must have happened, which was why they were forced to call for help. In other words, those students were in danger. Let's move forward at full speed. We'll arrive in 3 minutes. One of the crew members immediately replied. Whoosh! 3 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. The flying ship arrived above Beast Island. Look, those students have been tied up. They're at the peak of the mountain range in the middle of the Beast Island. According to the information transmitted by the signal, the crew used the spaceship scanning system and immediately saw a group of students tied up on the mountaintop. Their faces were swollen and bruised, and they seemed to have been beaten up badly. There seemed to be a few gunmen beside them. These criminals did not leave with Lin Bao. After all, they still needed someone to watch over these student captives, so they were lucky enough to survive. Oh no, those criminals seem to have discovered something. Are they going to make a move on the students? Looking at the scanning image, Captain Luo Jian's expression changed drastically. He had been through hundreds of battles and could immediately tell that these criminals weren't kind people. The other party knew that they were in a desperate situation. They were still on the deserted island and had nowhere to run. In their desperation, they would definitely want to drag a few people down with them. Those students were in danger. Open the door of the flying ship, Choshu said coldly. What? The group of people looked at Choshu in shock. We're 300 meters above the ground. What are you trying to do by opening the door? One of the crew members turned pale with fright. He looked at Choshu in confusion, thinking that she had gone crazy. Choshu ignored him and directly stepped forward. She pressed the emergency button to open the cabin door. With a snap, the cabin door opened. Immediately, a terrifying gust of wind whistled in from outside. Whoosh! Before these people could understand what Choshu was trying to do, she jumped down from the sky. Her entire body was like a cannonball, falling from 300 meters above the ground. Crazy! A group of people watched in shock as autumn snow fell. Falling from such a height, even an expert in the martial artist realm would be smashed to death and die without a complete corpse. Boom! In just a few seconds, Choshu's entire body was like a cannonball. She reached the ground in an instant. With a bang, the ground shook terrifyingly, as if a meteorite had hit the ground. With a few cracking sounds, her feet immediately created a huge deep pit. Hundreds of cracks spread out, extending for several kilometers, and the entire top of the mountain was covered with dense cracks. Some of the mountain rocks were even shattered by the powerful impact. But Choshu was unscathed. This. Seeing this, the criminals who had wanted to shoot these students were all stunned. The flying ship was clearly still 300 meters above the ground. Why did someone immediately come down? However, the students who thought they were dead were all overjoyed, especially the students from 95th High School. With tears in their eyes, they shouted in surprise, "Teacher, you're here. Don't come over, or I'll shoot them immediately." Those criminals were extremely afraid. This woman was simply a monster. She fell from a height of 300 meters and was unscathed. Was this something that a human could do? Shoot them. In front of me, you don't even have time to pull the trigger. There was a trace of coldness in Choshu's beautiful eyes. With a slap of her palm, the whole world seemed to have entered winter. It was a world of ice and snow, and the temperature dropped sharply. Bang! 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 Those criminals didn't know what was happening at all. They didn't even have time to blink. In just an instant, they were immediately hit by this cold current, and their whole bodies were frozen into ice cubes, turning into ice men. However, the other students were unscathed. They didn't even feel a trace of cold temperature, showing her superb martial arts skills. With a few cracking sounds, the wind blew, and these criminals' ice cubes shattered into countless pieces. Too strong. Many students were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that this beautiful woman was so powerful. Chapter 107. Teacher. At this time, Xia Ping and the others also came up. Jiang Yaru immediately greeted Teacher Choshu. They all felt very shocked. They didn't expect that the seemingly ordinary teacher would be so powerful. As soon as he made a move, he killed these bandits. Not a single one of them could escape. You guys are okay? Choshu also looked at Xia Ping and the others with surprise. Seeing that these people were unharmed, she immediately felt very happy. Finally, there were students who didn't fall into the hands of those bandits. Teacher, of course they're fine. We're the ones who aren't. A person shouted in grief and indignation. His eyes stared fiercely at Xia Ping as if he wanted to eat him alive. Choshu was dumbfounded. Looking at this guy who looked like a pig, she asked, "You, who are you? Are you also a student of my 95th middle school?" "Teacher, don't you recognize me? I'm Xiong Badian." The person shouted and immediately revealed his identity. Choshu's mouth twitched. How did you become like this? She really couldn't tell that this person was Xiong Badian. After all, his face was too horrible to look at. It was simply unrecognizable. It's all Xia Ping's fault. Xiong Batian shouted in grief and indignation. If he wasn't seriously injured, he would immediately go up and fight Xia Ping to death. Don't randomly bite people here. I didn't hit you. Xia Ping felt very wronged. Xiong Batian went crazy. You didn't hit me, but you talked nonsense. Your mouth stinks worse than dog shit. You provoked those bandits to drag us out and beat us up for half an hour. A whole half an hour. He was extremely sad and indignant. This was the darkest half an hour of his life. He had been pampered since he was a child. When had he ever been beaten like this? If it wasn't for this bastard Xia Ping's big mouth, saying that they were childhood friends, this kind of thing wouldn't have happened. This bastard clearly wanted to kill him. Teacher, punish him. This guy is simply a demon. He doesn't pay for killing people. That's right. He's done all kinds of evil. He's even more poisonous than poison. We're so miserable because of him. If we weren't lucky, we would have been killed by him long ago. If we don't punish him, we won't let him go even if we become ghosts. We won't be able to rest in peace. A group of pig-headed people jumped out and criticized Xia Ping, demanding that he be severely punished. They were also very miserable, comparable to Xiong Batian. They originally wanted to speak loudly, but their faces were really too painful. Just saying a few words would pull at their wounds, and the pain would penetrate their hearts. Who are you? Qiuxiu was a little confused. She couldn't recognize these people who had changed beyond recognition. They had no choice but to introduce themselves. I'm Tao Yun. I'm Goldman Sachs. I am Hong Yu. Qiuxiu was speechless. How did the top students of her school become like this? Although other students were also beaten, they were not as miserable as these few. It felt as if they were run over with tires several times. It was similar to plastic surgery. However, this was a failed plastic surgery. It was a medical accident. Hello, Xia Ping greeted them. Good my ass. Tao Yun and the others were so angry that their noses were crooked. Seeing them like this, how could it be any better? Yet, this brat was acting as if nothing had happened. If it wasn't for this bastard, how could they be so miserable? Teacher, this bastard is so vicious. He even wants to kill his classmates. The reason why we became like this is because he instigated those bandits to beat us up for half an hour. Tao Yun shouted. Teacher, if you don't punish him, we won't accept it. Xia Ping felt very wronged. What? What? I said some words to the bandits at that time, but it was all because I was worried about your safety. That's why I said your names so that those bandits wouldn't hurt you. But now, not only are you not grateful, you even blame me, saying that I have a vicious heart. It's really a case of a dog biting the hand that feeds it. It's hard to be a good person nowadays. There are very few people like me who repay evil with good. He sighed, feeling that his good intentions weren't known by others. Good my ass. Tao Yun and the others were so angry that smoke was coming out of their heads. If you were a good person, then there would be no bad people in the world. And if it wasn't for your words before, those bandits would have been moved by them long ago. They wouldn't have beaten them up. But after being criticized by this big mouth, all of them became liars. This made the bandits fly into a rage out of humiliation and beat them even harder than before. Bastard, don't quibble here. Xiong Batian said angrily, didn't you see Han Shan from Zhengde High School? He's the worst. He was beaten up for 45 minutes. He's now unconscious and foaming at the mouth. This is all your evil deeds. Why don't you admit it? He pointed at Han Shan who was lying on the ground. His face was originally blurry, as if it had been stung by bees. It was swollen and his mouth was still foaming. He looked like a critically ill patient. I think it's better to take him out for treatment. Xia Ping gave his own suggestion. Hearing this, Qiuxiu immediately came to her senses and said, yes, yes, yes. You guys still need to bandage your wounds. If there's anything else, we can talk on the spaceship. Don't talk here. At this time, the spaceship also descended from the sky and arrived at the top of the mountain. Xiong Batian and the others were very helpless, but they could only be grabbed by Qiuxiu and dragged into the spaceship for treatment. Moreover, their injuries were indeed very serious and couldn't be delayed. Whoosh! The spaceship picked up all the students on Beast Island and headed toward Tianshui City. After counting, 5 or 6 students died and more than 100 were injured. Only a few dozen students were not injured. Apart from Xia Ping and the others, only a few students who were hiding in remote caves and were lucky enough not to be found by the bandits were unharmed. The ins and outs of this matter were also known by Qiuxiu and the others. They knew that this was an accident. No one thought that a group of bandits would appear on Beast Island. This was a mistake on their part. However, this matter was too serious. If it was leaked, it would definitely have a great impact on the reputation of the 10 schools. They might even be denounced by angry parents and the media would come to interview them. Therefore, they decided to block this news. Each student was rewarded with a body-tempering pill as a hush money. Xia Ping and the others made great contributions. They killed many bandits and saved the lives of many students. Each of them was rewarded with 3 pills. Although Xiong Batian and the others were indignant, they couldn't do anything about it. However, things had developed to this point. The trial naturally couldn't continue. Everyone decided to immediately return to Tianshui City and send some seriously injured students to the hospital for emergency treatment. Chapter 108. Evening. When the spaceship arrived at Tianshui City, it was already evening. The students had already left school, and there was no one in the entire school except for the security guards. Xia Ping got off the spaceship and went straight back home. Anyway, there was nothing for him to do now. The teachers would naturally arrange for the injured students to be taken care of. When he was halfway there, he found that his phone was vibrating and emitting a notification sound from time to time. It seemed that there was a large amount of information being transmitted. Before entering the Beast Island trial, his phone was asked to be turned off and was still on the spaceship. Naturally, he had no way of knowing who had contacted him during this time. It's editor Meng Fei. Xia Ping picked up his phone and immediately saw dozens of phone calls and 15 to 16 video call requests. The most recent one was even half an hour ago. Why are you looking for me in such a hurry? Is something the matter? He subconsciously clicked on the video call connection. Beep. Immediately, the video call was connected, and editor Meng Fei's figure was immediately projected. The other party revealed a joyful look and said, I can finally contact you. That's great. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, where have you been these days? Why can't I contact you? I went to participate in the school trial. Xia Ping briefly explained his whereabouts for the past few days. By the way, why are you so anxious to contact me? Is there something important? Of course there's something important. Meng Fei immediately smiled. Have you forgotten? It's been more than a month, and the royalties for your book have been sent to your bank account. I just wanted to inform you. Congratulations, the novel, Teacher by Rong, has really become very popular this month. I've been in the industry for so many years, but this is the first time I've seen such a grand occasion. It's simply being chased by hundreds of millions of people. He sighed repeatedly. No one knew better than him how popular this novel was. Very popular. Xia Ping also knew that his novel was popular, but he didn't have a particularly clear concept. Seeing Xia Ping's dumbfounded look, Meng Fei said resentfully, Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, why don't you take a look at how much money you have in your bank account first? Hearing this, Xia Ping subconsciously opened his bank account, and suddenly a series of numbers appeared on it. He was also surprised. No way, more than 50 million federal coins, is this a mistake? Seeing the numbers on the bank account, he was also stunned. This was more than 50 million federal coins, a huge sum of money, and it was completely legal. Unlike the golden potion, red blood fruit, etc., which he had obtained before, although the value was amazing, he couldn't cash it at all, nor could he use it to improve his family's life. There's no mistake, it is more than 50 million. Seeing Xia Ping's surprised look, Meng Fei also smiled, his face revealing an excited expression. Did you know? This month, the novel, Teacher by Rong, has sold more than 4 million copies, and the momentum has not slowed down at all. I was wrong before. Not only can this novel sell more than 10 million copies this year, it won't be a problem even if it sells more than 50 million copies. I can even look forward to it selling more than 100 million copies. If someone had told him a month ago that an erotic novel might sell more than 100 million copies, he wouldn't have believed it. He would have thought that it was bullshit and a fantasy. But now it was different. This phenomenal erotic novel had broken all sales records and shocked the eyes of countless people. 100 million? Xia Ping's pupils shrank. A novel cost 25 federal coins. If he could sell 100 million copies, according to the 50-50 split, even after deducting taxes, he could still get more than 1 billion federal coins. How was this making money? It was clearly robbery. No, even if it was robbery, it wouldn't be so fast. It was estimated that even drug dealers wouldn't have such a huge profit. It was too amazing. Before, there were top novelists who could earn more than $1 billion a year. He only saw it as news, but he didn't expect that he was about to step into this ranks and enter the realm of top novelists. This was really incredible. And this was also a huge sum of money. Han Shan was so arrogant. His family opened a factory with assets of only 1 billion, and it took him more than 20 years to reach this level. But Xia Ping only needed 1 year to surpass the other party's more than 20 years of hard work. If this matter was known, it would definitely be shocking. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, in fact, there is another important thing I want to discuss with you this time. Editor Meng Fei hesitated and said to Xia Ping. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. Go ahead, what's the matter? It's like this. Meng Fei thought about the wording. Because this novel is too popular, it has also been discovered by people in the film and television industry. A famous director contacted me and said that he wants to adapt this novel into a TV series and make 100 episodes. Adapt it into a TV series? Hearing this, the corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. This was an erotic novel. How could it be adapted into a TV series and make 100 episodes? It was too exaggerated. As if seeing Xia Ping's surprised eyes, Meng Fei said, No, this is not exaggerated at all. Don't underestimate the strength of a screenwriter. Even a pile of shit can add a lot of seasoning to it. If it sells very well, not to mention 100 episodes, even 1,000 episodes is not a problem. Xia Ping touched his chin. What do you think about this? He wanted to hear the opinion of a professional. Promise him. Meng Fei immediately said, if a novel is made into a TV series or a movie, it is the best publicity. It will greatly promote the sales of the novel. I think this is a good opportunity. Xia Ping also admitted this. In his previous life, there was a martial arts master, Jin Yong. It was because his novels were put on the TV screen one by one, which led to a geometric increase in influence. In terms of publicity alone, the dissemination of TV was not comparable to other media. It could be imagined that once his novel was made into a TV series, the sales of the novel would explode in an instant. It would not be a problem to sell 100 million copies a year. In fact, in countries without piracy, such as Japan, even if they lost money, they were willing to make a light novel into an anime, because this could greatly increase the sales of the novel and make money from other places. Of course, there was no such benefit in places with piracy. Well, we can talk about it. Xia Ping nodded. Meng Fei smiled. Great, in fact, the director also wants to talk to you about the adaptation. Why don't we set the time for tomorrow morning? Let's have a video call and have a three-party discussion. He set a time for the discussion. Okay. Chapter 109. It actually sold more than 4 million copies this month. It's really amazing. After ending the call with editor Meng Fei, Xiaoping was also shocked by the sales results of his novel. Even though he knew that this was a heaven-defying novel, he did not expect it to achieve such results. By the way, let's go to the internet and see how the reviews are. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately picked up his mobile phone, clicked on the page, and searched for the novel, Teacher by Rong. With a ding sound, the related page of the novel, Teacher by Rong, immediately popped up on the search page, and there were a total of 89.8 million related results. Amazing. Xiaoping was dumbfounded. In his previous life, if a work had 1 million related search results, it would be considered a hit and could be called a popular work. For example, the most popular comic book, One Piece, had more than 70 million related results. This was already a phenomenal work, and almost everyone knew about it. But now it had reached more than 80 million. Even though Yanhuang Star had a population several times larger than that of the Earth, it could be seen how popular this novel was. First on the monthly novel sales list. Xiaoping quickly saw one of the pages, which counted countless novel works this month, including romance, urban, fantasy, science fiction, suspense, reasoning, and so on. But when all these works were ranked, the first was Teacher by Rong, which sold more than 4 million copies, while the second place only sold more than 1 million copies. The gap was too big. First on the search volume list, first on the ranking list, first on the hot topic list, first on the 3 lists. Xiaoping was very excited. This month, the novel, Teacher by Rong, almost dominated all kinds of novel lists. Even if he did not continue to hype up the topic, with the quality of the novel, coupled with the full promotion of Penguin, it still attracted countless readers. Let's go to the Tianying forum and take a look. Xiaoping's heart moved and immediately entered the Tianying forum. There were many people in this place, and he should be able to see a lot of readers' fair comments on Teacher by Rong. He immediately saw the first hot post, the title of which read, Heavy, Zhenhua, a master of erotic novels, commented on the new novel of the year, Teacher by Rong. This is a work that appears once in 50 years. According to the reporter's interview, Master Zhenhua said at that time that he didn't know about this novel at first, and then an editor of Penguin asked him to take a look and comment on it. I said at the time that I, Zhenhua, am not a casual person. I don't have to read it just because you tell me to. I'm still reserved, and I don't read any erotic novel. But I read it later. I'm a soft-hearted person and can't take a compliment. Besides, they gave me money. I can't go against money. But I didn't expect this old man to be fascinated at that time. I read it for 3 days and 3 nights, and it was really memorable. I haven't read such an excellent erotic novel for a long time. It described the emotional entanglement of a teacher and many men. Although the story was simple, it was full of tension and twists and turns. It was extremely moving and gripping. The intense description contains a hint of simplicity. Although it is an erotic novel, it is thought-provoking. After reading it, there is a hint of sadness, as if my heart is empty. Although I don't know who the author is, I can see that he is very intelligent. In time, he will definitely be able to carry the banner of erotic novels and become a master. After reading it, Xiaoping exclaimed in admiration. No wonder the topic of this novel has been around for a long time. It must be the website editor who found famous authors to recommend it and gave money to the master. With the recommendation of famous authors, it would naturally attract more readers, which was equivalent to advertising. There were also a bunch of readers commenting on this post. The master is indeed a master. He is old but still strong. I didn't expect to read it for 3 days and 3 nights. I can't tell that the master is an old man in his 70s or 80s. It's just an erotic novel. How can the master see simplicity? Why do I see a green hat? The master's heart is empty, and my body is weak. I don't know how many supplements I need to eat to make up for it. Harming others and myself. Because of the master's recommendation, I went to see it. I didn't expect that one night would pass. The next day, I almost couldn't walk. When I went to the hospital, the doctor said I had kidney deficiency. Sigh, this novel is a scourge. Since reading this novel, I don't know why, but I have a different view of the female teacher who weighs more than 300 pounds in class. The big brother above has such a heavy taste. This little brother admires it. Let me remind you a little. Assaulting a female teacher is at least 3 years, and the maximum is indefinite. Do as you see fit. Many readers were commenting, and the atmosphere was very hot. All of a sudden, there were 108,937 replies. It could be imagined that the popularity of Master Zhenghua was not for show. He was old but vigorous. He continued to read. Not only Master Zhenghua, but also Master Bao Pikhang seemed to have commented, "This erotic novel, Teacher by Rong, is a rare masterpiece in recent years. Although it is a bit exaggerated to see it once in 50 years, it is no problem to see it once in 10 years. The twists and turns in the story are bizarre and have a strong appeal, causing a strong resonance with the readers. Moreover, this novel has also set off a trend of erotic novels. The so-called teacher genre has appeared, causing countless erotic novelists to imitate it one after another. It can be said to be the founder of this genre. There have been people who have written erotic novels about teachers before, but this is the first time the author has caused such a trend. This is a pioneering work, and I am very optimistic about his next work." Seeing this, Xia Ping also clicked on the Penguin webpage, and sure enough, he immediately saw many trend-following works on the list, such as, "My Beautiful Teacher, Teacher Falls in Love with Me, Beautiful Teacher and the Story I Have to Tell, Beautiful Teacher in the Boys' School," and so on. Even if these works were just following the trend and could not achieve the same results as Teacher by Rong, they did bring this trend and barely made a living. From this perspective, it can be seen that Teacher by Rong has become a phenomenal novel and has become a benchmark in the industry. Even the erotic novelists have been affected. It's really too popular. After reading these comments, Xia Ping was very excited. If he waited for his novel to be adapted into a TV series, it was estimated that it would cause a more popular trend and the number of sales would increase greatly. Rumble, rumble. At this moment, a drumming sound came from his stomach. He touched his stomach. "I seem to be a little hungry. Let's go home and have a look. I wonder if Dad is at home." Chapter 110. After returning home, Xia Ping immediately saw a familiar figure busy in the kitchen. There was a fragrant smell of food in the dining room. This person was his mother, Huang Lanxin. "Mom, are you discharged from the hospital?" Xia Ping cried in surprise. Huang Lanxin smiled slightly. "Yes, it's all right. The hospital's nutrient solution treatment is not bad. The doctor told me to lie in the hospital for a few days, but I didn't want to, so I chose to leave the hospital." Xia Ping looked over and found that his mother's complexion was good, and there was no inconvenience in her movements. Obviously, she had been completely cured, even better than before. It was not in vain for him to spend so much money. However, the hospital cost is too expensive, hundreds of thousands. Thinking of spending so much money, Huang Lanxin felt a burst of heartache. She had never spent so much money in her life except for buying a house. Xia Ping patted his chest. "It's okay, I don't have any advantages, but I can make money. Keep bragging." Hearing this, his father, Xia Chuanlu, who was sitting at the table, looked contemptuous. "You have another advantage, that is, you are thick-skinned, and you have 30% of your father's skill. How is it bragging?" Huang Lanxin was suddenly dissatisfied and glared at Xia Chuanlu. If it weren't for my son, would you have the ability to take out hundreds of thousands? You have worked for more than 20 years, but you are not as good as my son in 1 year. She also knew that the medical expenses were paid by her son, and Xia Chuanlu had told her about it before. When Xia Chuanlu heard this, his heart seemed to be greatly hurt, and he could no longer say a word. He was also very aggrieved that he didn't make as much money as his son. It was too shameful. Mom, you can't say that. Dad's ability to spend money is still good. Xia Ping hit. Huang Lanxin snorted, he only knows how to spend money, smoke, gamble, and play mahjong, this prodigal son. Ahem. Xia Chuanlu felt that if he continued to talk like this, his position as the head of the family would be lost. He said, Son, let's not talk about this first. We have to talk about the novel you wrote. This novel is very problematic. To be honest, after knowing that my son wrote a novel, I also went up to criticize it. Xia Ping blinked, Dad, what's the problem? And you still say there's a problem? This problem is huge. Xia Chuan revealed a pained expression. Son, I know about your situation. There is indeed a female teacher in class, and she is the form teacher. She is young and beautiful, and her figure is not bad. She is like an actress. But she's a teacher. She's older than you by a few years. It's impossible for the two of you to be together. Just the difference in their statuses is a huge gap. There's no future for a teacher-student relationship. There are plenty of fish in the sea, why do you have to be so attached to a single flower? He patiently tried to persuade his son to return to the right path. Dad, Xia Ping was speechless. But before Xia Ping could say anything, Xia Chuanlu waved his hand and said, Son, there's no need to say anything. I also know that it's normal for students to have a crush on beautiful female teachers. Back then, your dad's school didn't have any beautiful young female teachers. They were all aunties who weighed more than 100 kilograms. Otherwise, I would have had a crush on them. This is called the budding of youth. That's right, it's called the budding of youth. However, you can't be too agitated. If you are too agitated, you will attack a beautiful female teacher. This is a crime. You are still young, so you must not do it, understand? More than 3 years in prison. He looked at his son with a very serious face. After reading his son's novel, he knew that it was not without reason that the novel could be popular. But the description was too vivid. It felt as if it was seen with his own eyes. If there was no personal experience and no fantasy of doing this kind of thing with the teacher, how could it be written? Therefore, he was very worried that his son would sooner or later embark on the road of attacking female teachers. Dad, you think too much. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Yes, I think about things here and there all day long. I haven't thought about anything serious. Huang Lanxin also patted Xia Chuanliu's head and felt that this guy was just messing around here. Don't I know what kind of person my son is? He definitely doesn't have the guts. Of course, even if he really does that kind of thing, it's the fault of that female teacher. She dresses in fancy clothes all day long and only knows how to seduce men here. Shameless. Xia Chuanlu suddenly didn't dare to speak. He knew that his wife was jealous. If this continued, he would probably have to sleep in the living room tonight. This was all experienced. By the way, Dad, I just paid the royalties a few days ago. Xia Ping didn't want to continue discussing this issue and directly changed the topic. I want to take out some money to improve the family's life. I don't know what you think. Earning money is for consumption and to improve life. If you don't spend it, it's useless to keep it in the bank. Moreover, his parents have raised him for many years. It's okay if he doesn't have the ability, but it's wrong if he doesn't do it when he has the ability. No, you can keep this money for yourself. We are still young and strong, and we don't need our son to support us. Huang Lanxin looked at her son kindly. She was very satisfied with her son's intentions. Xia Chuanlu asked curiously, royalties? Son, how much is your royalties? Not much, just over 50 million federal coins. Xia Ping said casually. Huh? Hearing this number, Xia Chuanlu took a breath, widened his eyes, and trembled. Son, say it again, how much is the royalties? Huang Lanxin was also stunned, as if she couldn't believe what she heard. I said, there are more than 50 million federal coins. Xia Ping smiled slightly. He casually clicked on his phone and immediately projected the bank account, showing the balance on it. Seeing this scene, both Xia Chuanlu and Huang Lanxin were stunned, and their whole bodies were trembling. When have they ever seen such a large number? Tens of thousands of federal coins are considered a huge sum of money. More than 50 million federal coins. That was an astronomical figure. Son. Xia Chuanlu looked up to the sky and sighed, the most correct investment your father has made in his life is to give birth to you. Earning more than 50 million at such a young age, why don't you go to heaven? Your father was wrong just now. Don't you just want to pick up a beautiful teacher? No problem at all. Go ahead and do it. It doesn't matter if you get a few back. Nurses, doctors, salespeople, stewardesses, train attendants, and so on. He was very emotional. He had earned so much money at the age of 18. In the future, it would be no problem for him to have a teacher-student relationship. Xia Ping was speechless. How many movies did his father watch? In the future, I will have a dozen children, make a football team, and strengthen the Xia family. Mother Huang Lanxin also nodded, her face excited, and she had a plan for the future. Chapter 111. Knowing that Xia Ping had earned more than 50 million federal coins in a month and might even earn more in the future, Xia Chuanlu and his wife were excited to the extreme. They were all ready to take a sum of money to travel around the world. When they got married, they were very poor and didn't even have the time or opportunity to go on a honeymoon. Now they were taking advantage of this opportunity to make up for it. Xia Ping wouldn't refuse. Anyway, money was meant to be spent, so he gave his parents 10 million federal coins and let them spend it however they wanted. This was also a small token of his appreciation as a son. While Xia Chuanlu and his wife were excitedly talking about where to go on a global tour, Xia Ping returned to his bedroom to rest because he had been tossing and turning for a long time after returning from Beast Island and was tired. Soon, the night passed. Because the next day was the weekend, there was no need to go to school. Xia Ping slept soundly until 10 o'clock the next morning before getting up. He brushed his teeth and washed his face before eating breakfast. At this time, he returned to his bedroom and received a video call from editor Meng Fei. Beep. Xia Ping immediately connected the video communication request. Soon, editor Meng Fei's virtual projection appeared in front of him and immediately said, "Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, are you free now? I'll introduce you to a director." Okay. Xia Ping nodded. He also remembered what editor Meng Fei said to him yesterday. It seemed that there was a director who wanted to adapt his novel into a TV series and shoot 100 episodes or something. With a beep, another video communication request came. He pressed OK. Then, a virtual projection appeared in the room. Suddenly, a fat man wearing a black suit appeared. He was 1.67 meters tall and weighed 100 kilograms. He also wore black-rimmed glasses and looked very wretched. This is the author of Teacher by Rong, Black-Hearted Wolf. When the fat man saw Xia Ping's appearance, he was stunned, as if he couldn't believe that this young man was the author of the recently popular novel. After all, this novel was written with an experienced style and didn't seem like something a young man could write. That's right, this is Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, editor Meng Fei explained, dispelling the fat man's doubts. The fat man immediately sighed and said, "It's really better to see than to know." If those fans know that the author of the famous Teacher by Rong is actually an 18-year-old young man, they will definitely be shocked. This is? Xia Ping asked. The fatty immediately came to his senses and quickly said, "My name is Wang Dachui, a famous director of that kind of film. I've shot Time Stands Still, The Transparent World, and other famous blockbusters." He was triumphant and boastful. "Oh, so it's a hammer." Xia Ping suddenly realized. Fatty Wang Dachui immediately went berserk. "What are you talking about? You're the hammer, your whole family is. Alright, I know your name now. I'm a very equal person, and I treat everyone the same. I won't discriminate against him just because he's a hammer." Xia Ping waved his hand, not caring at all. Upon hearing this, Fatty Wang Dachui became even more depressed. He protested, "I'm not a hammer." Alright. Let's get down to business." Editor Meng Fei quickly steered the topic back to business. When Fatty Wang Dachui heard this, he immediately coughed a few times and said, "You're right, Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf. This time, I'm here to adapt your novel into an adult action blockbuster TV series and shoot 100 episodes. This is an unprecedented feat in this world. It has never happened before. If it succeeds, it will definitely take the world by storm and set a precedent for blockbusters. We'll all become celebrities and stand on the monument of the adult world." He spoke passionately about his great dream. After all, this kind of film had always been one. Even if there was a so-called sequel, it would never be in the form of a TV series. He was not lying when he said that this was a pioneering effort. However, after a long time, Xia Ping did not react at all. Fatty Wang Dachui was depressed and said, "Big brother, why don't you feel excited at all? You have to know that we're creating history. We're walking at the forefront of an era. I only care about how much money you can give me." Xia Ping was a very honest person. Hearing this, Fatty Wang Dachui immediately shouted, "Vulgar, this is really too vulgar. As a cultured person, how can you talk about money? Talking about money hurts feelings." Xia Ping turned to look at editor Meng Fei. "That means that this fatty is not only a hammer, but also a pauper. Although I don't want to admit it, he is indeed a pauper," editor Meng Fei admitted. Fatty Wang Dachui was unconvinced. "Who's a pauper? I just happen to have no money on hand. We usually call this kind of person a pauper." Xia Ping calmly analyzed the situation for him. Hearing this, Wang Dachui was instantly deflated. He was dealt a terrible blow. "Editor." Xia Ping turned to look at Meng Fei. "You brought this fatty here just to entertain me. I have to say, this kind of entertainment is very successful. Let's call it a day." Looking at this fatty, he knew that he was a guy who wanted to get something for nothing. He probably wanted to take away his TV series adaptation rights without spending much money. This was simply a dream. If it was not for the editor bringing him here, he would not even talk to him. No. Wait, I'm really a director. I'm really a big director." Fatty Wang Dachui cried and actually wanted to hug Xia Ping's thigh. "If you give me the adaptation rights, I'll definitely be able to get investments and make a blockbuster. You'll earn a lot." The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. This fatty was the best. Not only did he have no money on him, but he also wanted to use his novel adaptation rights to get investments. This method of getting something for nothing was very clever. "Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, don't worry. I'm not tricking you." Seeing this fatty's expression, editor Meng Fei felt very embarrassed. However, he still said seriously, this Wang Dachui was indeed a very capable director back then. He produced many outstanding adult action blockbusters. He's quite capable. But this guy's lustful mind didn't change. He actually wanted to sleep with an actress but failed. What's worse was that the actress had a rich backer who was very powerful. In the end, he was unlucky. He was directly kicked out of the industry and had to sleep on the streets. No one dared to ask him to film anymore. Xia Ping was speechless. How unlucky was this damn fatty? He actually failed to sleep with an actress in that kind of film. What else could he succeed in? So, you're quite capable. Thinking of this, he felt that he could temporarily talk to this fatty. After all, he also wanted to adapt this novel into a TV series to expand the influence of the novel. Hearing this, Wang Dachui stood up with a grunt and said excitedly, "Don't worry. No matter what, I'm experienced. Getting investments is not a problem at all. Of course, if you can give me some investments, that would be even better." Chapter 112. To be honest, fatty Wang Dachui was suppressed, and he made a few bad movies after that, causing some investors to lose all their money. This made many investors hate him to the bone. It could be said that his reputation was already bad, and he couldn't get any investments at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so poor. At least he made a few blockbuster movies in the past. You still want me to invest? Xia Ping clenched his fists and had the urge to hit someone. This fatty had a good plan. If he invested, he probably wouldn't even need to pay for the adaptation of the novel. Of course. Fatty Wang Dachui said seriously, "I'm not tricking you. If you invest, you can have 100% of the copyright of this TV series, and you can also have 100% of the profits. If it can become popular, the money earned will definitely be more than selling novels." Xia Ping's eyes flickered. It was indeed as Wang Dachui said. If he could have all the copyright of this TV series, the profits would naturally be great. Moreover, he was also very confident in adapting his novel into a TV series. He thought for a moment. If this TV series is made, where do you plan to broadcast it? For an adult blockbuster like this, ordinary television stations probably wouldn't allow it to be broadcast. Even if he wanted to go to the cinema, he wouldn't be qualified. Of course it's on the internet. Fatty Wang Dachui had already thought about it. He said excitedly, "The income from online videos is no less than the income from television stations. Moreover, the higher the click rate, the more advertising fees we can earn. Maybe you don't know, on video websites, one click is worth $0.33 federal dollars. If we can make a video with over 100 million clicks, we can earn 33 million federal dollars. But a video like this costs only 500,000 federal dollars to make. If it's filmed, we can earn 50 to 60 times the cost. Even if we speculate in the stock market, we won't earn that much." He was like a salesman, trying to persuade Xia Ping. But even so, how could it be that easy to make a video have more than 100 million clicks? Most of the videos posted on the website would only have a few clicks, and no one would know about it. There were also quite a number of people who lost everything they had. Interesting. Xia Ping seriously considered the feasibility of this matter. The cost was low, and the profits were high. If it could become popular, it would be better to just shoot it himself. There was no need to give the copyright to others. Seeing this, fatty Wang Dachui struck while the iron was hot. "Big brother, I've already thought about it. We'll use the new adult actress, Lin Meikong, as the female lead. She looks pure and has a hot figure. She can be said to be a child with a huge X face. She will definitely attract the attention of most men." "What about men?" "Just find a few. Many men will do it even if they don't want money." After failing for a few years, he had learned to be meticulous in his calculations and save as much as he could. Because the main character is a teacher, he has to wear better clothes. Xia Ping gave his opinion. "It can't be an old-fashioned uniform. It has to be a black and white suit with high heels, stockings, black-rimmed glasses, and a ponytail. Even if you want to refuse, don't." "Big brother." Hearing this, Wang Dachui was completely convinced. He looked at Xia Ping with admiration. "No wonder you can write such a masterpiece and set the trend. I didn't expect you to understand men so well. You're amazing. Such a woman is simply the dream lover of all men. If I had such a teacher back then, I would have gone to a top university long ago. Just imagining that kind of outfit made him feel a little malnourished. Editor Meng Fei was also full of admiration. Why else would he say that he was a master who could write such a novel? Just this suggestion alone was already superior. Just imagining that kind of scene made them unable to accept it. Cough, cough. You flatter me. Xia Ping said modestly, I don't have much ability. If you want to know why I'm so capable, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. If Newton in his previous life heard him use this famous saying here, he would probably jump out of his coffin in anger. Shoot it immediately. Fatty Wang Dachui could not wait any longer. Even if we don't shoot 100 episodes, we can shoot 10 episodes first to test the waters. It's not a lot of money, just $5 million federal dollars. His creative soul was burning. He had to shoot this masterpiece. He felt that this work could very well turn his life around. Okay, let's sign a contract. Xia Ping thought about it and immediately made a decision. It was only $5 million federal dollars anyway, not too much. It would be good if it succeeded, but even if it failed, it would not hurt too much. After all, his monthly royalties were $50 million federal dollars. This amount of money was simply a drop in the bucket. Soon, editor Meng Fei took out the contract. He specialized in this industry and was very familiar with the channels. The three parties immediately signed the contract, temporarily settling the matter. Then, Xia Ping transferred $5 million federal dollars to Fatty Wang Dachui's account. Big brother, don't worry. I will definitely not tarnish this work. I will definitely present the charm of this work on the screen. Fatty Wang Dachui had a sacred look on his face. Xia Ping coughed. Okay, then I'll wait and see. After saying that, he hung up the communication video and ended the call with Wang Dachui and Meng Fei. Okay, continue cultivating. The high school fighting competition is in 2 weeks. I can't waste time on this kind of thing. Xia Ping clenched his fist. Making money from his work was just an auxiliary method. It was still martial arts cultivation. He could still distinguish the priority. At this time, editor Meng Fei and Fatty Wang Dachui were communicating. Brother Meng, thank you. If it weren't for you, I might not be able to make a comeback in this life. I would have to quit this industry. Wang Dachui was very grateful. Meng Fei waved his hand. You're welcome. You have to seize the opportunity yourself. Don't mess it up again. Otherwise, even the gods can't save you. Of course, I'm very confident in this work. Wang Dachui was full of confidence. According to the topic of this work and its popularity, it won't fail at all. Moreover, if the identity of the author is revealed when the video is released, it will definitely have a very good publicity effect. He had thought of a series of publicity methods. Xia Ping did not expect this damn fatty to actually plan to trick him. How long will it take you to finish shooting these 10 episodes? Meng Fei asked. Wang Dachui thought for a moment and said, originally, it would take 3 days to finish one episode, but if it's urgent, 1 day is enough. I'm known as the quick shooter director Wang in the industry. There's nothing I can't do. With the post-production editing, 2 weeks will be enough. Chapter 113. At this time, in Tianshui City's Zhengde district, Zhou Tai, Anne's house, which had been blown into ruins, was quickly restored to its original state with the help of robotic construction workers. In this era, 3D printing technology was extremely developed. As long as the blueprints were designed and given enough money, a house could be built and printed in a day. It could even withstand a magnitude 8 earthquake. Mr. Zhou Quan. At this time, a middle-aged lawyer in a black suit was standing in the villa. He said to a muscular, bearded middle-aged man in front of him, you are Zhou Ding's brother and his only direct relative. Now that he died in an accident, his estate is naturally inherited by you. If there's no problem, please sign here. He took out a pile of legal documents. Got it. The middle-aged man nodded. His face was expressionless as he quickly signed the pile of legal documents. Seeing this, the middle-aged lawyer nodded. All right, since you've signed, I'll take my leave first. I'll inform you again when the estate is dealt with. After saying this, he turned around and left. The middle-aged man, Zhou Quan, watched the lawyer leave and his face darkened. My brother, how did you die so quickly? Which bastard killed you? No matter who it is, as long as I find out who he is, I'll tear him to pieces and exterminate his entire family. He was furious. When he heard that his brother's villa had been destroyed by a bomb and that his brother's entire family had died without a complete corpse, he thought he had heard wrong. But when the lawyer personally called him and asked him to accept the estate, he finally believed that it was true. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, 4 or 5 men in black suits walked in from outside. All of them looked fierce and ferocious. They didn't look like good people. They came in front of Zhou Quan in an instant. Their attitude was very respectful, as if they were the man's subordinates. Boss, I've looked into it. Zhou Ding's death is indeed strange. One of the men in black said in a low voice, it's confirmed that he died of murder. But we've checked the surveillance footage of the entire Zhengde district and couldn't find any clues. Before the villa exploded, it was peaceful here. There was nothing unusual. If it's not because the culprit has extremely advanced technical means to erase the traces of the surveillance cameras, then it's because the culprit has extremely powerful martial arts skills to avoid the surveillance of the surveillance equipment. Zhou Quan snorted coldly. Don't talk to me about this. I only want to hear one thing. Who is the murderer? He clenched his fists and his whole body was trembling. Zhou Ding was his only brother and his only relative. Now that Zhou Ding was dead, he could not accept it at all. I'm sorry. We don't have enough time. We don't have any clues yet. One of the men in black lowered his head in shame. But as long as we have some time to investigate the suspects one by one, I believe we will definitely find the murderer who killed Zhou Ding. He didn't expect the murderer to be so good at hiding. Even a tracking expert like him couldn't find any clues. This was unprecedented. I'll give you time. Zhou Quan gritted his teeth. But we must catch that damned murderer. We can't let him get away scot-free. How dare he kill my brother? I'll make sure his whole family pays with their lives. Find out all the suspicious people for me. I'd rather catch 1,000 wrong people than let one go. I want the murderer to be so terrified that he'll have nightmares in his sleep. His body exuded a terrifying murderous aura. With a bang, the ground cracked. Strong true qi gushed out from under his feet, creating a huge crater. It was a sign of his powerful martial arts cultivation. The men in black were overwhelmed with shock. They felt a suffocating pressure because the man in front of them was an expert in the martial disciple realm. Even if he was only at the first layer of the martial disciple realm, he could kill them with just a breath. Once a person reached the martial warrior realm, they would be able to open their acupoints and release their true qi. Their attack power would be more than 10 times stronger. If a martial disciple could fight against 10 people, then a martial warrior could fight against 100 or even 1,000 people. Yes, boss. The group of men in black nodded, their faces solemn. You may leave. Zhou Quan waved his hand. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The men in black looked at each other and left quickly. My brother. Zhou Quan clenched his fist, his eyes cold. I won't let you die in vain. No matter who the culprit is, I'll make him pay with his life. Time flies, and 2 weeks have passed in the blink of an eye, and soon the Tianshui City High School fighting competition began. For Xiaoping, these 2 weeks were very peaceful, carrying out a 3-point life, usually attending classes, going home to retreat, and taking body-refining pills. In just 2 weeks, he felt that the true qi in his body had expanded rapidly, and he had reached the peak of the 8th heaven of martial disciple. Even the strength of his body had become stronger, and he already had a huge force of 30,000 jin. Even his spiritual force was stronger, and his martial arts cultivation base was more tyrannical. These 2 weeks were not in vain. I have to go to school this morning to prepare for the Tianshui City High School fighting competition. I have to prepare early. Xiaoping went out of his home, packed his things, and went to school. He soon saw a bus parked at the school gate, and some old acquaintances stood next to it: Goldman Sachs, Heng Yu, Zhu Erqin, Tao Yun, Xiong Batian, and others. Naturally, Jiang Yaru was also there. These people were the top 10 masters of the school, representing Tianshui City 95th High School in the competition this time. Originally, Xiong Batian was only a master in the top 20, but because of participating in the Beast Island trial, his strength advanced by leaps and bounds, and he was promoted to the 6th heaven of martial disciple, surpassing the previous people and squeezing those people down. The same was true for Tao Yun, who seemed to have reached the peak of the 6th heaven of martial disciple. "Hello, everyone." Xiaoping stepped forward and said hello. "Good fart." Xiong Batian and others' faces were as black as coal, and their faces were very unlucky, as if they had seen some plague. If it weren't for the fact that they might not be able to beat this bastard, they would definitely rush up. Even after 2 weeks, they still remember how this damn bastard tricked them when they were on the Beast Island. They were beaten by those gangsters for half an hour, and they couldn't call for help. Such a painful lesson would be remembered for the rest of their lives. Xiaoping didn't care about the attitude of these people at all. He turned to look at Jiang Yaru, a little surprised. "You have been promoted to the 8th heaven of martial disciple?" He clearly felt that Jiang Yaru's aura was different from before. "Yes, I broke through a week ago." Jiang Yaru showed a calm look, but her heart was already crooked. She deliberately hid it for a week just to scare this guy. Chapter 114. Not bad. Xiaoping touched his chin and said with emotion, he was promoted to the 8th heavenly layer before the competition. "It seems that there is one more place for our school to break into the finals." "What?" Xiong Batian and others stared at Xiaoping angrily, and their noses were crooked. What does this mean? What does it mean that there is one more place to break into the finals? This bastard didn't regard them as the main combat force before, they were simply cannon fodder. Although this is indeed the case, after all, Tianshui City is so big and there are countless geniuses, and Tianshui City 95th High School is just an ordinary high school with no talents. But words can't be said so clearly. Isn't this clearly slapping their faces? "Xiaoping, what are you talking about? Can't you speak?" Jiang Yaru glared at this bastard. This guy's mouth is so hateful no matter when it is. Xiaoping also seemed to wake up and showed an apologetic look. "I'm sorry, I accidentally said the truth. I will pay attention next time." "Pay attention my ass." Xiong Batian and others have blue veins on their foreheads. This kind of words is even more hateful. It's all the truth, doesn't it mean that this bastard thinks so? Okay, don't chat here, hurry up on the bus, we have to go to Tianshui City Stadium." The teacher Qiuxiu next to him coughed and interrupted Xiaoping. "Otherwise, if this continues, I'm afraid they will fight." Hearing teacher Qiuxiu's words, Xiong Batian and others did not dare to delay. Since they were saved by teacher Qiuxiu on Beast Island and saw the terrifying strength of this female teacher, they were in awe. For the female teacher's words, they immediately obeyed and did not dare to disobey. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The group of people all got on the bus, and it rumbled and drove towards the Tianshui City Stadium. Qiuxiu is the leader of this time, responsible for leading the students to the arena to participate in this Tianshui City High School fighting competition. As for the principal, vice principal, and other leaders have already gone to the arena to represent the school to hold the opening ceremony. Everyone pay attention. Seeing that the students had taken their seats on the bus, Choshu immediately explained the rules of the competition. This high school fighting competition is divided into two parts. One is the qualifiers, and the other is the finals. As you all know, there are a lot of people participating in the fighting competition this time, so the preliminaries will immediately determine the winner and loser. Only 16 people can advance to the finals, and the others will be eliminated. Xia Ping and the others nodded. There were a lot of participants in each high school fighting competition, because there were more than 300 schools in Tianshui City. If each school sent 10 people, there would be more than 3,000 people. More than 3,000 people were competing at the same time. If they fought against each other one by one, who knew how long it would take? Therefore, the qualifiers eliminated most of the people and selected the top 16. Teacher, how did the preliminaries go? Xia Ping was very curious. He could not understand how more than 3,000 people were eliminated in one go. That's a good question. Choshu faintly smiled. Every high school fighting competition qualifiers are different. Last year, it was running, and the top 16 were the winners. The year before that, it was mountain climbing. As long as the top 16 people first climbed a mountain that was tens of thousands of meters high, they would be able to qualify for the finals. But this time, it's even more special. It's a survival competition. Survival competition. Xia Ping and the others all looked at Choshu. This time's qualifiers are very expensive. Choshu smiled. Tianshui City's government spent a huge amount of money to forcibly transform Tianshui City's stadium into a small city. It simulates a real city, with supermarkets, hotels, residential areas, administrative centers, and so on. But this city is very dangerous, because the army has released powerful monsters in every corner of the city. You all will need to survive in this city for 3 days. She held up 3 fingers. What? Jiang Yaru and the rest were all shocked. How extravagant! This was truly extravagant. Although the current technology was extremely advanced, to the point where even a 100-story building could be built in a single night using 3D printing technology, and the quality was not inferior to any reinforced concrete building. It could even withstand an earthquake of a magnitude 8 magnitude. But this cost money. An astronomical amount of money. They didn't dare to imagine that in just a few days, the stadium would be completely transformed into a small city, just for the sake of a 3-day high school fighting competition. Don't feel too surprised. There's a reason why this is so expensive, Choshu said. This year seems to be Tianshui City's 500th anniversary. In order to celebrate, the government officials decided to hold a large-scale celebration, which is why it's so grand. This time's competition will also be broadcasted to the whole city. Even the entire Yangzhou district can watch. Just the broadcasting fee alone is already very expensive, so there's no need to worry about the government losing money. But Jiang Yaru and the others all had a heavy heart. Because this way, they would receive the attention of so many people. If they were to make a fool of themselves in front of so many people, that would be terrible. Who knew how many people would laugh at them? Xia Ping was very excited. With so many people watching, wouldn't this be a good opportunity to gain a lot of hatred? This was simply a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you want to pass the qualifiers, you only need to survive in this city for 3 days? Xia Ping asked impatiently. He wanted to know the rules of the competition. How could it be that simple? Choshu shook her head. If you want to pass the qualifiers and advance to the top 16, in addition to surviving in this city for 3 days, you also need to obtain a token hidden in the city. There are a total of 16 of these tokens. These tokens are hidden next to the strongest monsters in this city. Each of them has the strength of a martial artist and are extremely tyrannical. If you're not careful, you'll definitely die. Her face was very serious. Xiong Batian and the others all held their breath. Monsters with the strength of a martial artist? On the Beast Island, even ordinary beasts could tear them to shreds. If it was a monster with the strength of a martial artist, they would probably be torn apart by those monsters even if they all rushed up. How were they supposed to fight? Wasn't this just sending themselves to death? You think it's difficult? That's normal. Qiushu nodded. Because this is the highest level competition for Tianshui City's high school students. It represents the highest level of Tianshui City. Only those who can do this can be called geniuses and become the top 16 people in Tianshui City. If it wasn't this difficult, how would you eliminate more than 3,000 people? Chapter 115. After listening to teacher Qiushu's words, Xiong Batian and others were all silent. Indeed, as the teacher said, even if all of them were eliminated, it was not surprising that none of them could enter the top 16. In fact, there were only a handful of high schools in Tianshui City that could enter the top 16 over the years. Basically, they went to that place as a foil and came back. And the school didn't have much expectation for them. 10 minutes later, the bus soon arrived at a huge open space in front of Tianshui City Stadium. At this time, many buses had been parked in the open space. One by one, the top students of the major middle schools walked out of the bus and gathered on the square. 2,000 or 3,000 people came at once, which was very spectacular. Under the leadership of teacher Qiushu, Xia Ping and others quickly walked down from the bus and came to the area belonging to their school. They lined up temporarily and waited for the game to begin. Look, the people of Zhengde Middle School and Xinbo Middle School are here. A student shouted. Everyone looked over, and immediately 2 golden buses came from the entrance. They were 2 stories high. At first glance, they knew that they were local tycoons' buses. The surface seemed to be gilded, and it was blinding. Gee, it's worthy of being a famous aristocratic school in Tianshui City. It's really a local tycoon. A student exclaimed, looking at such a bus with envy and jealousy. These 2 schools are both famous aristocratic schools. They belong to sister schools, but Xinbo School is more famous. The children of all the dignitaries and businessmen in Tianshui City will go to such schools. Although Zhengde Middle School is also a little famous, it is much worse than Xinbo School. If you have to compare, one is a local tycoon, and the other is a noble. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One by one, the students came down from the golden bus, all of them like a rooster with chicken blood. They raised their heads and looked at the top as if they didn't put the students on the scene in their eyes. Every piece of clothes they wore was handmade and customized, using expensive monster skins, polymer materials, etc., which were warm in winter and cool in summer, and had a certain degree of protection. Needless to say, everyone also understood that every piece of clothing above was valuable, at least thousands of federal coins, some even worth tens of thousands of federal coins. Ordinary people could only look up and sigh. It's really annoying to compare people. We can't compare with those local tycoon schools at all. Look at their chi and blood is very strong, each of them has at least the cultivation base of the martial disciple above the 7th heaven, and there are also 8th heaven. You can't compare to them. They eat monster meat for every meal, and they have medicinal pills to help them cultivate. They also use all sorts of advanced machines, and they have all sorts of famous teachers to guide them. Over time, the gap will be huge. Looks like we're just here to serve as foils. We've already been eliminated before we could even enter. Many students were discussing among themselves. Seeing the people from these 2 aristocratic schools appear, all of them suffered a heavy blow. They were all from ordinary schools and were also ordinary people. Families with a monthly income of more than 10,000 were considered well off. But what about those students from the aristocratic schools? Their meals cost tens of thousands a month. How could they compare? However, Xiong Batian and the others realized that the students from the 2 schools didn't seem to be heading towards their area. Instead, they were leading a large group of people towards them. The leader was a 1.95-meter tall fat man in a black suit from Xinbua Middle School. Han Shan and the other students from Jingde Middle School were like lackeys, nodding and bowing as they followed behind these people from Xinbua Middle School. A group of people walked over in a grandiose manner. Xia Ping, did you provoke the people from Xinbua Middle School again? Seeing these people coming over with malicious intentions, Jiang Yaru couldn't help but glare at Xia Ping. They didn't look like they were here to make friends, but to intimidate. Xia Ping rubbed his chin. No, I didn't. You also know that I'm a very low-key person. Low-key my ass. Xiong Batian and the others looked at Xia Ping with disdain. If a bastard like you can be called low-key, then there's no one in the world who can be high-key. Who doesn't know that you always stir up trouble? Small things become big, and big things get out of hand. You're the legendary god of plague. They've all experienced this bastard's strength before. You're Xia Ping. At this time, the fat man in the suit led a group of people to Xia Ping's group. Relying on his 1.95-meter tall height, he looked down at Xia Ping with an arrogant expression. Han Shan and the others stood behind the students of Xinbua Middle School with a gloating look on their faces. I heard that you're very arrogant in Commoner Middle School, stirring up trouble everywhere. You even dared to provoke the people from Righteous Middle School. Is that true? The fat man in the suit stared at Xia Ping. His tone was extremely arrogant, as if he was a leader interrogating his subordinate. Fatty, do I know you that well? Xia Ping gave him a sidelong glance. What? Hearing this, the people from Xinbua Middle School and Righteous Middle School were stunned. Everyone was dumbfounded. Who didn't know that it was taboo for the fat man to be called fatty? No one had ever dared to call him that to his face. Anyone who called him that, without exception, had died a horrible death. Clearly, the fat man's face was half black. Anger brewed in his heart as he glared at Xia Ping. Brat, do you know anything about manners? Who are you calling fatty? How dare you talk to Feng Hatang like this? Believe it or not, I'll beat you. A student from Xinbua Middle School immediately jumped out and yelled at Xia Ping. Han Shan also jumped out and shouted, Xia Ping, you're too much. How dare you talk to Brother Feng Hatang like this? Hurry up and kowtow to him, apologize, and beg for his forgiveness. Otherwise, when Brother Feng gets angry, you won't be able to eat it. He was like a lackey, loyal to his master. No way. This fatty is the famous Feng Hatang of Xinbua Middle School. It is said that he is already a master of the 9th heaven of martial disciple. He is extremely powerful and talented. I didn't expect him to be so fat. A student was shocked. He seemed to have heard of the other party's reputation. Shut up. A companion next to him covered the student's mouth and looked flustered. You know he is Feng Hatang of Xinbua Middle School, and you dare to call him fatty to his face. Do you want to die? Someone called him fatty like this before. As a result, more than a dozen of his ribs were broken. He wailed in the hospital for a month, and no doctor dared to save him. The student was scared half to death. Is this Feng Hatang so powerful? Of course. The companion whispered, his father is a counselor in Tianshui City. He has great power. Who dares to provoke him? Counselor. Everyone was shocked. They looked at Fatty Feng Hatang in shock. This was an official position with real power. He was a government official with monstrous power. It was equivalent to the standing committee of a prefecture-level city in China in Feng Yu's previous life. Chapter 116. Hearing these words, Xiong Batian and the others were all shocked. It was no wonder that a rich young master like Han Shan would bow and scrape in front of Feng Hatang like a lackey. It's really impossible to compare with the other party's family background. After all, Han Shan is just a rich young master with a family asset of just 1 billion. Such a character can be found in Tianshui City. But Feng Hatang, his father is a member of parliament in Tianshui City, one of the 9 great powers. If he wants to kill you, a little young master, isn't that easy? So Han Shan's attitude is also completely understandable. Han Shan. Hearing Han Shan's words like this, Xia Ping asked curiously, I remember you are the leader of Zhengde Middle School, and you are also a person with a head and a face. Now you have changed your career and become a lackey of others. Change your sister. Hearing Xia Ping say this, Han Shan's face turned green, and he was so angry that he was half dead. Although his performance is indeed like this, he can't say it out loud. Isn't this clearly trying to embarrass him and slap his face? He glared at Xia Ping and seemed to want to fight desperately. Kid, your mouth is too cheap, you should slap it. The fat man in the suit, Feng Hatang's eyes flashed a cold light. With a whoosh, he made a move, and the palm the size of a palm leaf fan immediately fanned. Don't look at his huge size, but his movements are extremely agile, like lightning, and he slapped towards Xia Ping's face all of a sudden, showing a terrible momentum. Xia Ping's eyes flashed, and he had long been prepared for this person's attack, and he punched out. Boom! The fist and the palm collided, and the true energy bombarded. Suddenly, there was a burst of air in the air, and the air waves rolled, and the surrounding students were shocked to step back several steps. A lot of dust rolled, and smoke filled the air. With a few cracking sounds, there were more than a dozen tiny cracks on the ground at the feet of the two. It can be imagined how terrifying the strength of this blow was. Seeing that Xia Ping easily resisted his palm, the fat man in the suit, Feng Hatang, was also a little surprised. He narrowed his eyes, revealing a dangerous light. Sure enough, as Han Shan said, you have some ability. You can actually resist a blow from my 9th heaven of martial arts. You also have a little arrogance. He thought that he was a powerhouse of the 9th heaven of martial disciple, and it was a sneak attack in vain. There was no reason for him to fail, but he did not expect to be resisted by Xia Ping. Amazing. The people from Xinbo Middle School were shocked. They knew how powerful Feng Hatang was. He could become the boss of Xinbo Middle School not only because his father was a senator, but also because of his tyrannical strength. With a single palm strike, the force of 10,000 jin would explode. Even a black bear would be smashed to pieces, not to mention a human. However, this brat was actually able to withstand it and not fall into a disadvantageous position. This was not simple. Students over there, what are you doing? You're not allowed to cause trouble here. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified immediately. A security guard at the side saw the situation and immediately went forward to warn them. Seeing the security guard arrive, Feng Hatang didn't care at all. He still looked at Xia Ping and sneered, but if you want to be arrogant in front of me, Feng Hatang, you're not qualified. Han Shan is my little brother. By teaching him a lesson, you're slapping my face. You're not giving me any face. Just you wait. When the competition starts, you'll have a good time. Dropping this sentence, he waved his hand and left with a group of people. Han Shan also glared at Xia Ping fiercely and left, but he was in a very happy mood because with Feng Hatang's attack, this kid would definitely die miserably. Better than me? Xia Ping's eyes showed a glimmer of coldness. With the security guard here, it was not easy for him to make a move. Once he entered the competition scene, how could this Feng Hatang be his opponent? On Beast Island, even if he took the crazy magic pill and was promoted to the half-step martial warrior realm, the leader of the cheetah regiment was not his opponent. He was blown up by him with one punch and died without a whole body. This Feng Hatang, who was only at the 9th heaven layer, dared to be arrogant in front of him. Isn't this courting death? This damn troublemaker. Xiong Batian and others' faces were green. The competition hasn't started yet, and they have provoked a strong enemy from Xinbo Middle School. When they enter the competition, how can they still live? They knew that this bastard was not a good thing. He was definitely a god of plague, but they didn't expect him to be so hateful. Rumble at this moment, a huge white spaceship appeared in the sky. It quickly docked on the square. The hatch opened, and immediately students in white school uniforms came out. These students wore very ordinary clothes, but each of them exuded a strong martial arts aura, like a fierce beast, and the entire venue seemed to be suppressed by them. Each of them was impressively a strong martial artist in the 9th heaven layer. Students of Tianshui City's first middle school. A student whispered. Everyone was shocked. Tianshui City's first middle school is the best school in the entire Tianshui City. It is not a private school, but a public school, and the tuition is very low. But it is surprisingly difficult to take the exam. Those who can go to this school are all the best students in Tianshui City. Each of them is powerful, and other middle schools can't compare with them at all. The high school fighting competition held in Tianshui City has been held for a total of 108 sessions. Among them, the champions of 100 sessions were all students of Tianshui City's first middle school. There is no doubt that this group of people are the favorites for the championship of this high school fighting competition. Some people even say that the championship battle is likely to be carried out among the students of Tianshui City's first middle school, and other schools are supporting roles. Although people from other schools are reluctant to admit this, when they saw the students of Tianshui City's first middle school coming out of the spaceship, they all felt an invincible feeling in their hearts. Look, that's Qin Muyang, the strongest person in Tianshui City's first middle school, the peak of the 9th heaven layer. It seems that he is about to break through to the martial warrior realm. A student stared at a young man in a white school uniform standing at the front. It is said that his father is still the mayor of Tianshui City, and the Qin family is also one of the largest families in Tianshui City. Outstanding talent, born in a rich family, this kind of person is simply perfect. This Qin Muyang is the favorite to win this high school fighting competition. It is said that even in Tianshui City's first middle school, he is the overwhelming number one, and no one can match him. Everyone was talking about it, looking at the students of Tianshui City's first middle school with envy and jealousy. If the previous Zhengde Middle School and Xinbo Middle School were local tyrant schools, then Tianshui City's first middle school is a real genius school. Those who can go to study in it are all martial arts geniuses, and any one of them is in the top 10 of the major schools. Chapter 117. Boom. With the arrival of the white spaceship, a pink spaceship followed closely behind. It also quickly arrived at the venue. The cabin door opened, and beautiful women with beautiful bodies walked down from it. It looked like a group of female idols, which shocked everyone present. The girls from Xiulan Middle School are here. No way, the legendary noble school for girls. Yes, that's the school. It's said that the girls who want to study in this school either have excellent academic performance or are born in rich families. It's a real noble school for girls. I didn't expect to see the girls from Xiulan Middle School here. How lucky. It's said that they usually stay in the school and rarely go out. Once they do, they'll be surrounded by a large group of followers. It's the real place to train young ladies. Many students were discussing and watching the girls walk down from the pink spaceship. Facing the uproar around them, they didn't move and walked straight ahead. However, wherever they moved, they became the focus of the crowd. Wait, isn't the one leading the group the princess of Tianshui City, Nangong Wu? A male student exclaimed and immediately saw a long-haired girl walking at the front. Everyone immediately looked over. The girl had beautiful long hair and was extremely beautiful. She had a slender figure and a pair of spirited eyes that seemed to be able to speak. Especially her legs, which were extremely slender. Her waist was so slender that it could be held. She was simply an unattainable goddess. Yes, she's Nangong Wu from Tianshui City. It's said that she's the princess of the Nangong family and the only legal heir. The Nangong family is the richest family in Tianshui City. They control a fleet and are known as the king of the fishing industry. Their assets are over 10 billion, and they even dabble in hotels, restaurants, real estate, etc. If you marry the princess of the Nangong family, it'll be like a carp leaping through the dragon's gate. You'll immediately have a net worth of 10 billion. The number of people who want to marry her can line up from the top of the city to the bottom of the city. You're not qualified. After her photo was released, she was immediately chosen by the netizens as the #1 person they want to marry the most. She has countless pursuers. I heard that even Qin Muyang has been pursuing her. He even went to the Nangong family to propose marriage, but unfortunately, she didn't agree. Many students discussed animatedly as they looked at Nangong Wu of Shilan Middle School. She was like a princess, and could be said to be the moon surrounded by stars. Her body emitted a charm that was hard to forget. Some people also noticed that Qin Muyang, who had always been arrogant and expressionless, changed the moment he saw Nangong Wu. It seemed like he wanted to go up and chat with her. However, he still resisted and did not act. Shilan High School. Xia Ping's eyes flickered as he looked at the girls. He seemed to be thinking of something. Xia Ping, you're not planning something bad, are you? Jiang Yaru was very sensitive. He immediately noticed that there was something wrong with Xia Ping's gaze. It was as if he wanted to do something bad. Hearing this, Xia Ping felt very wronged and shouted, "You are wronging me. Do I look like the kind of person who does bad things? Don't judge a book by its cover." Bullshit. Xiong Batian and the others looked at Xia Ping with disdain. You bastard, without a doubt, you are that kind of person. Moreover, you never do anything good. You specialize in doing bad things. There is no one more despicable than you. Right, they suddenly thought of something. It was said that this Xia Ping was lustful. He was despicable and shameless. He had countless girlfriends and had even impregnated many high school girls. Could it be that this bastard wanted to extend his evil palms to the daughters of Shilan Middle School? Instantly, their expressions changed. This was bad. These beautiful girls were like white rabbits. Being targeted by a big bad wolf, how could they still be alive? It would be strange if they didn't eat them up. Who knew, maybe the girls of Shilan Middle School had already fallen into this bastard's hands. Ding dong! Without waiting for Xiong Batian and the others to say anything, a huge screen suddenly appeared in the air above the plaza. Following that, a middle-aged man wearing a black suit appeared. He was the person in charge of this competition, Chen Hai. Students. The responsible Chen Hai opened his mouth and said, "I believe that you have already understood some of the rules of the preliminaries, so I won't say much. I just want to tell you one thing. Later, the staff will give you a smart watch. The smart watch will show the map of the simulated city and the location of the token. You can find the token according to the instructions of the watch. Apart from this watch, you can't bring anything else in. Otherwise, it will be regarded as cheating and you will be eliminated immediately. If anyone wants to admit defeat, you can also press the button on the watch. Then, you can immediately withdraw from the competition." Okay, the commentary ends here. Good luck, everyone. At this point, with a snap, the projection in the air immediately disappeared. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Then, one by one, the staff came to the front of each school and handed out a watch. Each student had one, and each student had to wear it on their right wrist. Huh. Xia Ping also took a watch and pressed the button. With a beep, a virtual map immediately appeared, seemingly showing the map of a virtual city in front of them. However, on the map, the number 1053 was shown, and there was also the appearance of the 8th zone. The staff seemed to have noticed Xia Ping's confusion and explained, "This is a serial number. It will be randomly distributed. The entire virtual city will be divided into 16 zones, and you will all be randomly distributed to these 16 zones. This is to prevent some of the stronger schools from joining forces to eliminate other students, causing injustice." Xia Ping nodded. He also understood why the person in charge of the competition would do this. If the students of the schools were not randomly distributed, he was afraid that it would become a competition between schools. The weaker schools would definitely not be a match for the stronger schools. Once you get the watch and know which zone you are in, immediately gather at the entrance of the zone and wait for the competition to begin, the staff said to Xia Ping. Thank you. Xia Ping nodded, turned around, and walked toward the 8th zone. The other students also began to move, one after another, heading toward their assigned zone. After all, the competition would begin in an hour, and they could not afford to waste time. This is the 8th zone. A few minutes later, Xia Ping arrived at the 8th zone. He raised his head and looked over. A huge city gate was placed in front of him, and the surrounding steel walls were hundreds of meters tall, looking extremely magnificent. He knew that this simulated city was surrounded by a circular steel wall, divided into 16 zones, and 16 gates. The area was extremely large, enough to accommodate millions of people. 3,000 people entering was simply like a drop of water entering the sea. Come over and check your belongings. Then, gather in front of the city gate, a staff said. Chapter 118. Malicious intent? When Xia Ping passed through the metal detector and gathered in front of the city gate, he immediately sensed several malicious gazes coming from afar. It was Feng Hetang. He immediately saw that not far away, among the crowd, a huge fatty Feng Hetang was standing there. He stood out from the crowd, extremely conspicuous and full of pressure. Beside him stood 2 or 3 students from Xinbo Middle School. Even Han Shan and the other 2 or 3 students from Zhengde Middle School were here. It was really a narrow road for enemies. These guys are also in the 8th area. What a coincidence. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. He was randomly divided into 16 areas, but he was actually able to meet Feng Hetang and the others. It could only be considered luck. However, he ignored them and stood quietly, waiting for the competition to begin. However, not far away, Han Shan and the others also found traces of Xia Ping. Ha, I didn't expect this damn Xia Ping to also be assigned to the 8th area. This time he's out of luck. Han Shan was overjoyed when he found traces of Xia Ping. Originally, even if they entered the simulation city, it would not be easy to find Xia Ping in such a big city. If the other party deliberately hid, it would be even more difficult. But who would have thought that this kid would also be assigned to the 8th area, just like them? This time, even if this guy wanted to escape, it would be even more difficult. He is indeed out of luck. Feng Hetang revealed a cold smile. I wanted to deal with him later, but I didn't expect him to come to us in person. This is God's will. God's will is hard to deal with. He stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes extremely cold. Indeed, a student from a small civilian school dares to clamor at us. He is simply courting death. We must teach him a lesson and let him know the gap between us. So what if he has a bit of talent? He was still beaten half to death by us. I want to teach him some principles. I think he will be grateful to us in the future. Although we can't kill him in this competition, we can still beat him half to death. As long as his life is not in danger, those referees will not come out to stop us. As soon as we enter, we will immediately make a move. We won't even give him a chance to press the button on his watch and forfeit. When the time comes, we will play with him in this city. The students grinned and stared at Xia Ping as if they had found an interesting toy. Xia Ping, oh Xia Ping, this time, I must repay your kindness on Beast Island. Han Shan clenched his teeth and stared at Xia Ping. His heart was filled with rage. Ever since he returned from the Beast Island, he had suffered such humiliation and had to lie in the hospital for a week to recover. However, this incident had caused his status in Zhengde High School to plummet. After all, seeing him in such a humiliating state, those lackeys and girls no longer treated him as a god like before. Instead, there was a faint sense of disdain. This kind of gaze was unbearable to him. If he didn't teach this Xia Ping a lesson, it would be difficult for him to get rid of his inner demons. It would be very difficult for him to improve his martial arts cultivation in the future. Therefore, even if he gave up his dignity as the gang leader of Jingde Middle School, he still asked for help from the boss of Xinbo Middle School. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to vent his anger at all. Ding dong! Just at this moment, the crisp sound of a bell came from afar. It was clear and melodious, and it spread throughout the entire square, allowing every student to hear it clearly. Rumble! Then, the huge city gate in front of them opened. The mechanical shaft rotated and slowly moved to both sides, slowly revealing the true appearance of the simulated city. The competition has begun. Participants, please go in immediately. A staff member held a loudspeaker and shouted at the participating students, announcing the official start of the competition. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hearing these words, the surrounding students immediately moved and quickly rushed toward the simulated city without hesitation. Those who entered first would undoubtedly gain some advantages. When all the students entered the simulated city, the city gate at the back was also closed, preventing anyone from entering or leaving. Amazing! After entering the simulation city, some of the students were immediately shocked by the scene in front of them. Tall buildings rose and fell one after another, roads extended in all directions, and there were even taxis parked on the roads. There were even pieces of advertising paper floating on the ground, and there were trees and street lights by the side of the road. It was completely a real city. One must know that a few days ago, this place was just an ordinary stadium, but now it had immediately turned into a real simulated city. Such efficiency was really terrifying. It was probably impossible for humans hundreds of years ago to imagine such a scene. In just a few days, a city that could accommodate millions of people could be built, and it didn't even require a lot of money. However, this was the power of technology. Quick, the token is just over 10 kilometers away. Hurry up and snatch the token. If we are too late, it might be snatched away by others. Let's go immediately. There are only 16 of these tokens. After entering the simulated city, all the students couldn't wait any longer. According to the virtual map displayed on their smartwatches, they all madly rushed toward their destination. After all, there was only one token. If it was snatched away, the others wouldn't have a share. Xia Ping also wanted to move, but before he could take a step, he was immediately blocked by 5 to 6 people. These people were Feng Hatang and the other 5, and each of them looked at him fiercely. Aren't you going to fight for the token? Xia Ping looked at them indifferently. Feng Hatang snorted coldly, still trying to act cool here. I already told you long ago how miserable it would be to offend me, Feng Hatang. However, you actually didn't take it seriously and even dared to talk back to me. You don't know how to appreciate favors. Now do you know your mistake? He looked down from above, full of oppression, as if he was looking at prey. Han Shan and the others also stared at Xia Ping fiercely, as if they were going to tear Xia Ping apart at any time. At this time, they would definitely not let this kid escape. Feng Hatang. Xia Ping looked at Feng Hatang indifferently, don't provoke me. Get lost now, and I can still save you some face. Otherwise, you will be miserable. Really miserable. Do you understand? Understand my ass. Feng Hatang's nose was crooked from anger. At this time, this kid actually dared to be arrogant in front of him. If he didn't beat this kid up, he wouldn't be the boss of Xinbo Middle School. Since you are stubborn and won't repent until you see the coffin, I will let you suffer. Boom. Chapter 119. When the game began, the high-definition cameras distributed in all corners of the entire Sim City immediately began to work, recording the game scenes in 16 areas. Then these pictures were broadcast live, so that the entire Tianshui city and even the entire Yangzhou district could see them, and they could be transmitted to the TV, and even the internet could be watched. For the first time, the audience noticed that Feng Hatang and others were fighting with Xia Ping. Look, someone just went in and started fighting. There must be hatred between these two groups, so they started fighting just after the game started. This damn fatty is really powerful. He actually learned the high-level martial arts technique heart destruction palm. With a slap, he destroyed the heart and immediately exuded a fierce aura. People with slightly weaker willpower would be scared to pee their pants. Of course, he is powerful. This fatty is a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of martial arts. He is one of the top masters in Shinbua Middle School. It is normal for him to use this move. That kid is finished. I think he will be beaten to shit with one palm. Many audiences all over Tianshui City were talking and communicating on the internet. On these live TV platforms, you can type your own feelings, or you can click on the above screen and immediately display the simple information of each contestant, so that the audience can understand these contestants. It can be said that this kind of commercialization has reached the extreme. However, it is indeed as these audiences said. This fatty Feng Hatong is indeed powerful. He used the heart destruction palm to the perfect realm, and with the power of the 9th heaven of martial arts, the palm wind is terrifying. With a single slap, even a water buffalo would be smashed into pieces, and its internal organs would explode. But what kind of character is Xia Ping? He even took the crazy demon pill and reached the cheetah regiment leader Lin Bao's fatal blow. How could he be afraid of this Feng Hatong's heart destruction palm? In the face of Feng Hatong's palm, Xia Ping also made a move and blasted out with a punch. Boom! The two men's fists and palms collided together, and the soft power collided with the fierce and unparalleled power, exploding in the air, as if producing a gas explosion. And the ground at the feet of the two men immediately produced a deep pit, and cracks spread around, making a cracking sound. Han Shan and others couldn't help but take a few steps back and were repelled by these strong winds. How is this possible? Feng Hatong was shocked. This palm strike was a strike that he was determined to win, unlike the one he had held back outside the square. However, when such a palm strike landed on the boy's body, it was as if it had hit a ball of cotton. His soft and ruthless power was easily neutralized, as if it could not hurt his body at all. This is also normal. Xia Ping's Dark North body protection technique has been cultivated to a very high level, and the powerhouse of the 9th heaven of the martial artist can no longer cause any harm to him. It was estimated that only a martial warrior realm powerhouse would have such qualifications, but how could Feng Hatong know such an exquisite protective technique like the Dark North body protection palace? Oh no! Just as his palm struck out in vain, he realized that Xia Ping was not going to let him go. Xia Ping punched out with his left fist. It was as fast as lightning and as fast as lightning. It was unstoppable. Dragon fist, azure dragon shakes the heavens. As he punched out, the faint roar of a dragon could be heard in the void. The void trembled, causing the blood of Han Shan and the others to boil. They were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood and felt like they were about to faint. This force, like the roar of a dragon, suddenly blasted out, and it was unparalleled, shaking the earth. Boom! All of a sudden, it hit the fat man Feng Hatong solidly. No! Feng Hatong immediately let out a scream. He felt that this tyrannical and unparalleled force had reached 30,000 jin. Even with his physical defense, he could not resist it at all. In just one breath, his body, which weighed 300 jin, was blasted out, flew directly hundreds of meters, and finally hit a huge cement wall on the side of the street. With a few cracks, Feng Hatong was embedded in the cement wall, and his whole body was sunken inside. A large amount of gravel rolled down, and even the wall had more than a dozen cracks. Too strong. Is this still 5 forms fist? I have also practiced 5 forms fist, but there is no such power. If I guessed correctly, this has been cultivated to the realm of perfection, turning the rotten into the magical. No way, this guy is also an 18-year-old young man, and he has actually comprehended 5 forms fist to the realm of perfection. Generally speaking, even talented martial arts experts can only have such comprehension at the age of 20 or 30. I once saw an old man who had practiced fist techniques for decades, and he used 5 forms fist like this, but he was already a martial arts grandmaster, and he cultivated for decades like a day. Abnormal, This is the fighting level of Tianshui City, it has just started, and it is already so strong. On the live broadcast platform, countless viewers were exclaiming. In this era where everyone was cultivating martial arts, there were hidden dragons and crouching tigers, and almost everyone had a very deep understanding of martial arts. Among them, there was no lack of real martial arts experts. Oh no, this kid is too scary, let's run. Seeing Xia Ping so fierce, it seemed that he was even more terrifying than when he was on Beast Island. Han Shan's face turned green, and he immediately wanted to run away. Otherwise, if he fell into the hands of this kid, he would not be able to get away. The others were also extremely shocked. Even their boss Feng Hatong was not a match and was defeated by a punch. They estimated that even if they fought together, they would not be a match for this kid. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Han Shan and others immediately wanted to escape. Want to run? Xia Ping's eyes showed a trace of coldness, his figure flickered, and suddenly divided into 5 phantoms in the air, like a tiger, a dragon, a white crane, a poisonous snake, and a cheetah. In just a breath, Han Shan and the other 5 people could not even run a step, and almost at the same time, they were hit by a punch, and their whole body was smashed out like a cannonball. Bang bang bang. They let out a shrill scream, flew out horizontally, and smashed hard on the wall above the street, and also smashed out 5 holes, like a painting hanging on the wall. With a puff, these people could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and several ribs in their chest were broken. 5 forms fist, my god, I thought it was just a legend, I didn't expect someone to really practice it, this kid is abnormal, definitely a pure big abnormal. Seeing this scene, a member of the audience immediately cried out, completely stunned. Many spectators were also shocked, they were also strong martial arts cultivators, and of course, they knew how terrifying it was to be able to punch out 5 forms at the same time. The power of such a punch was increased several times. It was estimated that this young man had cultivated the 5 forms fist to the highest realm, turning the rotten into the magical, proficient in the essence of each fist technique. Chapter 120. Go and find out who this kid is immediately. Why have I never heard of this young man? He can actually practice martial arts to this level in the martial disciple realm. What will happen in the future? Another martial Dao Grand Master. I found it. This is Xia Ping from Tianshui City 95th High School. He was born a commoner, and his family has been ordinary people for 18 generations. According to the data, a few months ago, he was only in the 3rd heaven of martial disciple realm. No, now he is in the 8th heaven of martial disciple. How can he improve so fast? It may be that he is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, concealing his strength, or maybe he is enlightened and his strength has advanced by leaps and bounds. Indeed, there are many people like this who suddenly become enlightened and their martial arts strength has advanced by leaps and bounds. It is not surprising. Immediately list him as a key signing target and send an invitation to him. We must not let other organizations get ahead of us. Seeing this scene on the live video, the people in charge of the martial Dao organizations who are always paying attention to the Tianshui City High School fighting competition were all alarmed and investigated Xia Ping, intending to invite him. In this era, technology is developed, martial arts is prosperous, and there are many tyrannical martial arts organizations and companies in society. These are all legal and allowed by the federal government. What is the most expensive thing in this era is undoubtedly talent, martial arts talent. With tyrannical martial arts powerhouses, they can go to various dangerous places to adventure, hunt monsters, explore minerals, find spirit medicines, excavate ancient ruins, and so on. What real estate, hotels, restaurants, entertainment, and other businesses, how can they compare to these adventures? Once successful, they will become rich overnight, making money faster than a money printing machine. Some people say that now technology is developed, there are laser guns, mecha, laser cannons, and other tyrannical weapons. Even ordinary people can control these weapons and hunt martial arts powerhouses. Martial arts powerhouses are not great at all. But if these martial arts powerhouses also have these weapons, the power they exert is definitely dozens of times stronger than ordinary people, even more than 100 times. A treasured sword that could cut through iron like mud was just a toy in the hands of a child, and it could only be used to chop vegetables in the hands of a chef. But in the hands of a true grandmaster of the sword, it was an extremely terrifying killing weapon that could split the sky and slaughter thousands of soldiers. I didn't expect to find such a martial arts genius in Tianshui City. My luck is really good. Looks like other than Qin Muyang and the other popular champions, there are still many dark horses. That's normal. In this era, it's not just the rich and powerful who can produce geniuses. The commoners aren't inferior either. We must pay close attention to it. Don't let other organizations get ahead of us. Many people in charge of the martial arts organizations issued orders to their subordinates in a solemn tone. Being able to discover a heavenly talent of martial arts with potential was no less than buying the original shares of Alibaba, Tencent, and other big companies when they were just starting out. The value of the shares would be dozens, hundreds, or even tens of thousands of times higher. After all, a true martial Dao grandmaster could support an organization for decades or even centuries. The benefits they could bring to an organization were simply unimaginable. Therefore, these martial arts organizations are always paying attention to the fighting competitions in every city of the entire Yanhuang Star. They hope to dig out the real martial arts geniuses and invite them to join their organizations. This was also why the Tianshui City High School fighting competition was so popular. Even if it cost a lot of money, it would not hesitate, among which there were many martial arts organizations secretly sponsoring. Of course, for the high school students of Tianshui City, it was also an opportunity for them to leap over the Dragon Gate. If they could get the appreciation of these powerful martial arts organizations, join these organizations, and get the other parties training, then they could get a lot of resources, continue to grow stronger, and get twice the results with half the effort. If not for this, how could they compete with those children of rich and powerful families who were born with rich and powerful backgrounds? It can be said that the Tianshui City High School fighting competition is a stage for them to show their talent and strength. Even if they can't enter the top 16, it doesn't matter. As long as they get the appreciation of some martial arts organizations, then they will earn. At this time, in a VIP room in the government center of Tianshui City, there were more than a dozen people standing in this place. If someone was familiar with the officialdom of Tianshui City, everyone would be shocked. Because these people were the 9 representatives of Tianshui City, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and other big figures. Any one of these people would cause Tianshui City to catch a cold for 3 days if they sneezed. However, these big shots could only stand at the side respectfully. The only one who could sit was an old man wearing a white training suit. He sat on a black chair, exuding an unfathomable martial arts aura, like a god. Even behind the old man in white stood 3 or 4 middle-aged men, who seemed to be bodyguards, but each of these people had earth-shattering strength, oppressing these big shots of Tianshui City to the point that they couldn't even breathe. Not bad. The old man in white faintly looked at the screen above the VIP room and also saw the scene of Xia Ping's attack. He raised his eyebrows and said, "I didn't expect Tianshui City to have such a martial arts genius. To be able to practice 5 forms fist to this level at such a young age, you can be regarded as a talent. Your Tianshui City has done a good job in education." Although it was a compliment, he wasn't moved because big figures like him had seen too many geniuses, and this was not enough to move him. But even so, the others were slightly shocked because it was not easy to attract the attention of this old man. It must be known that most of the strong martial artists couldn't even make this old man move his eyelids. "Thank you for the compliment, Elder Fong." Mayor Qin Fei was beaming with joy. It was the greatest honor to be praised by such a figure. If he could also get the other party's appreciation, his Qin family would probably be able to soar. "Counselor Feng Shan, that fat man seems to be your son." A counselor next to him whispered to the fat counselor next to him, asking very curiously. "Yes, it's my son." Half of the fat Counselor Feng Shan's face turned green. He clearly told his son that there were big figures coming to watch this competition and he had to perform well. He didn't expect to be beaten up as soon as it started. Now, how could he leave a good impression on others? If he was eliminated from the fighting competition later, then his Feng family's face would be completely lost. Counselor Feng, my condolences. A counselor next to him chuckled. Damn it. Hearing such ridicule, the other half of the fat Counselor Feng Shan's face also turned green. How was this asking him to restrain his grief? It was clearly mocking him. Chapter 121. Kacha Feng Hatang and the others, who had been beaten on the wall, were grabbed down by Xia Ping one by one and smashed to the ground. They screamed in pain, and their foreheads were sweating. Soon, these people were caught by Xia Ping in a nearby building and thrown on the ground. There were no monitors here, so it was convenient to do all kinds of bad things. Kid, don't mess around. Feng Hatang gritted his teeth and stared at Xia Ping. My father is a member of Tianshui City. If you dare to do anything to me, you will definitely not be able to eat it, you know? If you know what's good for you, apologize to me immediately, so maybe I will forgive you. His body was trembling, and he didn't expect that he, a powerhouse in the ninth heaven of martial arts, was actually not this kid's opponent. With just one punch, he was defeated, and several of his ribs were broken. It was a tragic sight to behold. Apologize? Hearing this, Xia Ping suddenly smiled. With a snap, he pulled hard, and suddenly Han Shan and others heard a crisp fracture sound, which was very pleasant to the ear. Ah! Feng Hatang is the son of a member of parliament, his family is rich, and he has long been used to being pampered. How can he bear such pain? He screamed at once, and it was extremely sad. He felt severe pain all over his body, as if something was drilling into his heart, and he was almost twitching. It's okay, it's just a dislocation. I'm the best at treating this kind of disease. Someone in the class gave me a nickname, Quack. Xia Ping looked at Feng Hatang with a smile. Quack. Feng Hatang and others' faces were green. Damn, it's all a quack. What kind of medical skills do you have? You said that you are the best at treating diseases. The one who kills the most people is a quack. Who dares to treat you? With a snap, Xia Ping immediately made a move. He grabbed with his big hand and used a little strength. Immediately, Feng Hatang also let out a scream, and his hands seemed to be connected again. Look, my medical skills are good, right? The broken hand is connected again. In another 3 months, you will probably recover. Xia Ping was proud and very confident in his medical skills. Damn it, what do you want to do? Feng Hatang screamed. His face was deathly pale. Now that medical technology was advanced, even if he had a whole body fracture, he could recover in a week with a lot of money and nutrient solution. But a dislocated arm would take 3 months to heal. Wasn't that just harming people? Nothing, I just want to see if my medical skills are good or not. With a snap, Xia Ping pulled again, and Feng Hatang's arm was dislocated again. Feng Hatang almost fainted from the pain. Han Shan and the rest were terrified. Devil, this bastard was simply a devil. Where did he learn this kind of torturing method from? There wasn't even a TV show. If it weren't for the fact that they had been beaten to the point of exhaustion by this brat, they would have definitely fled with all their might. Kid, don't go too far. I, Feng Hatang, am the leader of Xinbua Middle School, and my father is a counselor of Tianshui City. Aren't you afraid of my revenge? Feng Hatang put on a strong front, but he was still very tough. Clap clap clap. Xia Ping ignored him and made another move. He reconnected Feng Hatang's arm and broke it again. After 2 or 3 times in a row, Feng Hatang screamed in pain. His forehead was covered in cold sweat, and he was foaming at the mouth. He almost fainted. Not bad, you're tough enough. I like people like you. Xia Ping praised, I often practice medical skills to save people. For this kind of bone-setting exercise, I just need to practice it 100 more times. 100 times? Han Shan and the rest broke out in a cold sweat. It was just a few times, and Feng Hatang was in pain like a pig being slaughtered. If he did it 100 times, would he still be human? He would probably be tortured like a madman. No, big brother, I was wrong. Don't reconnect the bone, please spare me. Hearing this, Feng Hatang could no longer be tough. He finally gave in and begged Xia Ping. Spare you? I don't dare. After all, if I make you angry, I, Xia Ping, will not be able to bear the consequences. Who told you to be the son of Counselor Feng? Who dares to offend you? Let me practice a few more times. With a few slaps, Xia Ping broke his arm again, reconnected it, broke it again, and reconnected it again. Ah! Feng Hatang screamed. Finally, he could not bear such painful torture. His eyes rolled back and he foamed at the mouth. He fainted on the spot and lost consciousness. What a useless guy. He can't even bear such a little pain. How can he be a strong martial artist in the future? How can he enter the top 16? How can he enter the top universities? If he goes out, people will laugh at my Tianshui city. They will say that the people of Tianshui city only have this little ability. After a few slaps, Xia Ping was very dissatisfied. He reached out and patted Feng Hatang's face, waking him up. This. Feng Hatang woke up and saw Xia Ping's face. His face suddenly turned green, and he couldn't say a single word. Devil! Han Shan and the others couldn't help but scream in their hearts. Now that Feng Hatang was tortured so miserably, if it was their turn, wouldn't it be even more miserable? Suddenly, a chill rose from the soles of their feet. They were terrified, and they could no longer have the mentality of fighting against Xia Ping. Big brother, spare our lives. We were wrong. Our dog eyes failed to recognize Mount Tai. Spare us this time. We will be grateful to you in the future, and we will avoid you whenever we see you. If you want money, we will give you as much as you want. We don't have anything, but we have money. Han Shan and the others trembled and begged Xia Ping for mercy, fearing that they would suffer the same torture as Feng Hatang. Begging for mercy? Xia Ping's eyes flickered. You would rather beg for mercy from me, the enemy, than give up the competition and leave. Can you tell me why? As long as Feng Hatang and the others pressed the button, the staff nearby would appear and rescue these people. Xia Ping could not continue to torture them like this. But they were unwilling to press the button and did not want to quit the competition. This was very strange. This. Feng Hatang and the others' eyes flickered. They obviously did not want to answer this question. Because before the competition, their elders strongly warned them that they must not easily quit the competition. Because this competition was being watched by an important person, they must show their martial arts skills and talent. If they could catch the attention of that important person, they would immediately soar into the sky and become a fish that leaped through the dragon's gate. If they immediately quit the competition at the beginning of the competition and did not even have the chance to display their capabilities, they would disappoint their elders. Then after they left the competition, they would immediately be skinned by their own family elders and be completely classified as trash. They would no longer be able to enter the center of their family's power. With such consequences, they would not dare to quit the competition even if they were beaten to death. But how could they say such things? Wouldn't that be giving this kid something to use against them? You don't want to answer. Xia Ping rubbed his chin and revealed a devilish smile. It seems like you have your own difficulties. But I like people who have difficulties the most. Like my ass. Chapter 122. Big brother, say something. What will it take for you to let us go? Feng Hatang was extremely aggrieved. He knew that he had been caught by this bastard, and he might be tortured to death. Han Shan and the others were also half dead with anger. Their intestines were green with regret. If they had known that this bastard was so cruel, they would never have gone up to provoke him. It was too late now. This bastard knew that they couldn't casually withdraw from the competition. It would be a lie if he didn't take the opportunity to torture them. Let you go. My words are really unpleasant to hear. Am I such a bad person? Who doesn't know that I, Xia Ping, am the kindest person? I never coerce people, and I'm willing to help people. Xia Ping revealed a righteous expression. Kind my ass. Feng Hetang was so angry that his teeth itched. Who didn't know that this bastard was the most cruel and enjoyed torturing people? Just now, this bastard broke his arm countless times. He even fainted from the pain and was about to be woken up again. If anyone dared to say that this bastard was kind, he would immediately fight with them. But how could he dare to say these words? He lowered his head and bowed with a flattering expression. Yes, yes, yes. Big brother is the kindest person. It's getting late, why don't you let us go? After all, the competition is important. If we are late, the tokens will be taken away by others. He couldn't wait to leave this demon's side. Xia Ping waved his hand. There's no hurry. There are 3 days. It's a long time. Let's take it slowly. Take it slowly. Feng Hetang and the others gritted their teeth. This bastard had time, but they didn't. 3 days was not long, but it was not short either. If they didn't pay attention, it would pass in the blink of an eye. Thinking of this, Feng Hetang gritted his teeth and said, Big brother, what do you want? If you want to extort money from us, we can give you as much as we have. No, no, no. Xia Ping waved his hand. Extortion is illegal. I won't do it. Moreover, I don't lack money. If you don't want me to target you, it's very simple. In these 3 days, the few of you will be my underlings and listen to my orders. If I tell you to go east, you can't go west. If I tell you to chase dogs, you can't chase chickens. He stated his terms. In fact, this was a plan that he had thought about for a long time. If he wanted to qualify for the qualifiers and obtain a token, it would be very difficult to rely on himself. He needed help. Even if he didn't have a strong helper, he still needed a strong lackey. If he was alone, it would be very troublesome. He might even be surrounded by the students from the other academies. Therefore, he decided to recruit Feng Hetang and the others as his underlings to strengthen his side. What? Hearing this, Feng Hetang was so angry that his nose became crooked. This bastard is really shameless and arrogant to the extreme. He actually wants me, Feng Hetang, to be this bastard's little brother. Dream on. He was the son of a Tianshui city councillor and the boss of Xinbo Middle School. He had countless followers. It had always been others who relied on him and became his underling. When had he ever been someone else's underling? Wasn't this a joke? If you don't want to, then forget it. I won't torture you anymore because I have no interest in it. Seeing the indignant looks on Feng Hetang and the others' faces, Xia Ping waved his hand. But I will imprison you in the basement of this building for 3 days. I hope you are lucky and someone will rescue you before the end of the competition. After saying that, he wanted to tie up all these people. Wait, big brother, I agree, I agree. Hearing this, Feng Hetang and the others were scared half to death. They quickly agreed, for fear that they would be a step late and be imprisoned in the basement by Xia Ping. If this bastard really did this, then they would have participated in this high school fighting competition in vain. If they were imprisoned in the basement, who could save them? Once these 3 days were over, they would return to their respective families and would inevitably be scolded by their family elders. At that time, their future would be over, and their families would no longer have resources to invest in them. This bastard also saw through this and knew that they had a special reason to participate in the high school fighting competition. It was impossible to be imprisoned forever, so he made such a threat. Agreed. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Let me say this in advance. I am not the kind of person who likes to force people. If you refuse, I won't have any objections. Scoundrel, this is forcing me. Feng Hetang and the others were so angry that smoke almost came out of their heads. If they didn't agree, then he would imprison them in the basement for 3 days. If this wasn't forcing, then what was? And he said he didn't like to force people, shameless to the extreme. Also, this bastard's words just now were clearly a threat. No, 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 this is all of our own accord. Yeah, how is this forcing? To be Big Brother's underlings, we are more than happy. This is our honor. If you have any orders, just tell us. We will do whatever you want. I promise we won't refuse. Feng Hetang and the others were extremely sullen. They went against their own hearts and said these words that made them want to vomit. As young masters, when had they ever bowed to a small commoner like this? This had never happened before. But people had to bow under eaves. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only listen to this bastard's orders. After all, who asked him to have a bigger fist? Of course, of course. Xia Ping said modestly. I didn't expect you all to be so willing to be my underlings. I'm really embarrassed. Then, I will respectfully accept. Pretend, continue to pretend. Feng Hetang and the others were so angry that their teeth were itching. When they thought that they would be ordered around by this bastard like a little brother, they felt extremely sullen. Very well, if that's the case, then I have to tell you some rules. Xia Ping was very satisfied. If any of you dare to refute me or try to disobey my orders, then I will definitely not forgive you. I will beat you to death. He stared at Feng Hetang and the others with murderous eyes and used his mental strength to suppress them. Yes. Immediately, Feng Hetang and the others were stunned. They felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them, shaking their souls and making their bodies tremble. This was an instinctive fear that came from their bodies. Immediately, some of these people's little thoughts were extinguished. Just now, they had joined hands and were beaten to a pulp. If they provoked this demon again, they were afraid that they would not be able to bear the consequences. If they didn't have absolute confidence, they would not casually make a move. Very well. Xia Ping smiled faintly. Then I will give you the first order. Immediately find a large truck and search for all the food in the nearby areas. What? Chapter 123. Strange, what is that kid Xia Ping doing? It's indeed strange. Previously, Feng Hetang and the others had a grudge against Xia Ping. As soon as they came in, they started fighting. It was a fierce fight. Now, these people are actually so obedient, like little brothers. These people have all been beaten up. I think they've been taught a lesson. But why are they driving a truck and wandering around the streets? Aren't they afraid of encountering monsters on the streets? It can't be, they're looking for supermarkets, looking for food. What the hell, these bastards aren't looking for trouble with the monsters. Instead, they're coming to the supermarket to empty the food here. Are they crazy from hunger? The competition hasn't even started and they're already hungry. Do they really want to eat that much? Does anyone want to go up and warn them? This is a fighting competition, not a food show. The audience watching the live broadcast on TV all noticed the actions of Xia Ping and the others. They saw that they found 2 large trucks on the nearby streets and drove away with a rumble. They swept the streets and emptied the food in the supermarkets one by one. This simulation city was very realistic. Not only were there all kinds of buildings, but even cars, trucks, and other vehicles could be found in the shops of this city. There was even food. However, these things were originally a kind of support that the organizers of the fighting competition secretly gave to the participants. However, some people could think of it, while others could not. For a few hours, Xia Ping and the others were on the move. They didn't look for the token, but drove the large trucks to the nearby 3 areas, crazily emptying the food in the supermarkets, leaving not even dregs behind. Then, when the 2 large trucks were almost full, they stopped moving and drove to a nearby villa area. They found a luxurious villa to temporarily stay in. At this time, the sky was already dark. I understand. On the live broadcast platform, a viewer suddenly shouted, "This kid is so cunning. If he empties the food in the nearby area, the others will have no food. Won't the other contestants be miserable?" That's true. They need to stay in this simulation city for 3 days. The energy that martial artists need to consume from food every day is very shocking. If they don't eat for a meal, they will be very hungry. If they don't eat for a day, they will faint from hunger. If they don't eat for 3 days, they will probably be sent to the hospital. This brat has snatched away the food. How can the other warriors have a share? He wants to starve the other participants. He is too cunning. How could he think of such a despicable idea? Hearing a member of the audience's reminder, the others also realized the treachery of Xia Ping's actions. Emptying 3 areas of food was obviously to starve the other contestants to death. After all, where did the energy in a martial artist's body come from? The answer was food. Only by eating food that contained a large amount of energy could a martial artist maintain the basic energy consumption within their body. They could even circulate the secret arts and convert the energy from the food into true energy within their body. The more powerful a martial artist was, the more energy they needed to consume. Some tyrannical martial artists could even eat 10 cows in one meal. Ordinary families simply could not afford to raise them. Therefore, there was the saying that the poor were scholars and the rich were martial artists. Of course, it was said that some martial Tao grandmasters had reached the state of inedia and could devour the spiritual qi of heaven and earth as energy in their bodies. They no longer needed to eat the food of ordinary people and could go without food for 100 days. However, it was clear that these high school contestants had yet to reach such a level. They needed to consume large amounts of food every day. This kid is too smart. No wonder he didn't go to snatch the token but to plunder food. The history books have also said that in the post-apocalyptic world, food is the most important thing to survive. Whoever controls the food will have the right to speak. This kid really knows the essence of it. The other contestants are miserable. Without the food, even if they get the token, they will starve to death. After all, they still have to survive in this city for 3 days. Many people in the audience were talking about it. However, there were also people who refuted, "It is indeed amazing to control the food, but it will also anger the other contestants. If the other contestants know about this, they will unite and this kid will suffer. Indeed, I think this is a bad move. Plundering a large amount of food, not only will it not starve the other contestants, but it will also anger them. I'm afraid they will be besieged." Even if this Xia Ping is powerful, can he withstand the anger of so many contestants? Not necessarily. This kid can think of emptying the food, but did he not think of this? I think he has other plans. Let's wait and see. Many of the audience were discussing. They didn't know what Xia Ping's intention was. After all, it was not easy to monopolize so much food. With food, he would be a rich man, a fat sheep. With guns, he would be a warlord. With food, he would be an overlord, a hero. At this time, in the villa, Feng Hetang and the others had a strange expression. They couldn't understand why Xia Ping would do such a stupid thing. Plundering all the food would anger the other contestants. If the other contestants united, they were afraid that Xia Ping would not be able to bear the consequences. "Big brother, you plunder all the food in the 3 nearby areas. You didn't even leave any residue. If the others know about this, I'm afraid it will cause a big problem." Feng Hetang cautiously advised. "What big problem?" Xia Ping blinked his eyes. Feng Hetang hesitated for a moment and said, "It may anger the other contestants. They will come looking for trouble. That's to anger them, Xia Ping said lightly. Of course, he knew that by doing this, he could only affect the contestants in the 3 nearby areas, and it may not really cause so many contestants to get into trouble. But his real purpose was only to gain hatred. If he didn't anger these people, how could he get hatred? Even in order to let those students know that he did it, he also left a note in the supermarket. Of course, he would not say such a purpose. This madman. Hearing this, Feng Hatang and the others were stunned. The reason for plundering the food was just to anger the other contestants. If this wasn't a madman, then what was? If the starving contestants united, they would have to face the siege of the contestants in the 3 areas. There were at least 500 or 600 contestants. Of course, not everyone knew this news. Except for some who were eliminated, there were at least more than 100 people who would come to trouble Xia Ping. But doing this just for fun was too crazy. Chapter 124. The sky gradually darkened. In the simulation city, many participants carefully walked toward the supermarket. Their clothes were tattered and there were even bloodstains on them. It was obvious that they had suffered a lot. From time to time, terrifying monsters would appear on the streets, patrolling around the city. If they were accidentally discovered by these monsters, they would definitely be surrounded and killed. The whole city was full of danger. Damn it, that monster is too strong. Of course it is. That is a one-horned thunder leopard, a monster with the strength of a martial warrior. Who can be its match? The organizer is simply sick. He actually placed the token under the butt of the one-horned thunder leopard. Who can get it now? Isn't it courting death to go and find trouble with the one-horned thunder leopard? Many students were extremely sullen. They originally wanted to quickly find the token and snatch it. However, who would have thought that the monster guarding the token was too strong? It was a monster that could rival a martial warrior. A group of hundreds of people went over. In an instant, they were severely injured by the one-horned thunder leopard, causing them to flee in all directions. More than a dozen unlucky ones were almost killed. Fortunately, the organizer was constantly monitoring and rescuing them. Thus, these students were saved from death. Even so, they were still eliminated. Even if the remaining people were not eliminated, they were more or less injured. Along the way, they were chased by some ferocious beasts. After a day, they were simply thirsty and tired. They could not wait to lie down and rest. There is no other way. It is indeed very difficult to obtain the token. I reckon we need more people to have a chance of defeating the one-horned thunder leopard. Let's go to the nearby supermarket to find some food to eat. I haven't eaten for a day. I can't fight on an empty stomach, a student said. His stomach was growling. That's right. I remember there is a supermarket nearby. There is a lot of food there. There is bread, hamburgers, instant noodles, French fries, biscuits, ham, and so on. The organizer must have prepared it for us. Then what are we waiting for? I am already starving. Many students dragged their heavy footsteps and carefully avoided the ferocious beasts on the street. Soon, they arrived at a large supermarket nearby. One by one, they rushed in excitedly, wanting to find food. However, when they arrived at the supermarket, they were all dumbfounded. Holy shit, how did this supermarket become so clean? This morning, I still remember that the shelves were full of food. Did we get robbed? Seeing the empty supermarket, a tall student's face turned green. Without food, wouldn't they starve to death? There's definitely a thief. Look at the ground. There's not even a strand of hair on the ground. It's even cleaner than your face. When you left, it was even cleaned. I'm sure this thief has many years of experience in this field. He's been to every place. A fat student's face was full of grief and indignation. Looking at the empty supermarket, he simply wanted to cry but had no tears. Other than the supermarkets, there was no other food in the entire city. No matter how powerful the organizers were, they couldn't hide food in every place, and it wasn't necessary. In fact, they only put food in the supermarket. They didn't have food anywhere else. Plucking the feathers from the geese, plucking the feathers from the geese. Which son of a bitch did such a wicked thing? He actually emptied the entire supermarket. Can he eat so much by himself? Isn't he afraid of being stuffed to death? Shameless, shameless, don't let me know which school's bastard did it. He actually ate to such an extent. He clearly wants to starve us to death. Could it be the work of a monster? It's said that those monsters are also interested in human food and occasionally eat potato chips. Eat my ass. Is it so polite for a monster to enter a supermarket? Even the cleaning was done. Nothing was left. The leftovers were all stolen. There was no waste at all. That little thief is an expert. Many students cursed and were extremely angry. Originally, they thought that they could have a full meal when they came into the supermarket, but who would have thought that the entire supermarket was packed away and nothing was left? Looking at the empty supermarket, their stomachs became even hungrier. Wait! A student exclaimed, there seems to be a note on the wall. What's written on it? His eyes were very sharp. He immediately found the white note on the wall of the supermarket. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Everyone immediately went over and surrounded it. Looking at the white note on it, it said, it was me, Xia Ping, who emptied this supermarket. If you trash want to get food, you must be my lackeys. If you understand, come to the 8th area XX District XX Villa. Because there are very few lackeys around me. First come, first served. Beautiful women first. Seeing these words, all the students were stunned. Bastard! A tall student's nose was crooked from anger. Arrogant, too arrogant. He emptied the entire supermarket of food. He did such an evil thing and dared to leave a note saying that he did it. This little thief is too arrogant. To be honest, he had never seen such an arrogant person in his life. This was beyond his imagination. After all, which thief didn't steal in secret, afraid that others would know? But this bastard was different. He was afraid that others wouldn't know. Not only did he point out his name, but he also said his address. If this wasn't arrogance, what was arrogance? He clearly didn't put them in his eyes. He still wants us to be his lackeys. First come, first served. And he wants beautiful women first. A square-faced student said angrily, what does this bastard want? Is he here to choose a concubine? Does he think he's a master or an emperor? We can only be his lackeys. Shameless to the extreme. This bastard thinks that he plundered the food, so he has something on us. We have no choice but to obey him. Obey my ass. If I really become his lackey, my name, Feng Xiao, will be read backwards. Brother, your name is the same even if you read it backwards. Don't worry about this. Anyway, that bastard wants to die. Let's fulfill his wish. That's right. He actually dared to leave his address. He really doesn't know what's good for him. Let's go to him immediately, beat him up, and force him to hand over the food. Let's see if he still dares to be so arrogant. Plundering the entire supermarket of food. He wants to anger everyone. No one can tolerate him. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and find trouble with that bastard. Don't let others beat us to it. The group of students was so angry that their noses were crooked. He robbed the entire supermarket of food and wanted them to be this bastard's lackeys. No one could tolerate such a thing. Chapter 125. When these people left the supermarket and walked towards the villa, they met another group of people. This group of people seemed to be moving in the same direction as them. A tall student kindly reminded them. Friends, don't go. The food in that supermarket has long been emptied by a thief named Xia Ping. Even if you go now, it won't help. You won't even be able to find a hair. What? Hearing this, the student opposite was also very shocked. No way, the supermarket in your 8th area was also emptied by that bastard Xia Ping? He didn't even leave any food. Suddenly, the contestants in the 8th area were also very depressed. They looked at these students and asked. Listening to your tone, you don't seem to be contestants in the 8th area. You were also killed by Xia Ping. Of course not, we are from the 7th area. The student said. Because the food in the entire area was emptied by a thief, causing us all to be hungry. We had no choice but to come to the 8th area to find trouble with that bastard Xia Ping. We traveled a long distance and carefully avoided the beasts in the area. Even so, several people were eliminated because of serious injuries. Finally, we arrived here. These people's faces showed sadness. If it weren't for the hunger, their combat power would have been reduced by half. They wouldn't have been so easily bullied by those beasts, causing several people to be seriously injured and eliminated. Did you also come here because you saw the note left in the supermarket? The tall student asked curiously. The student in the 7th area nodded. Yes, you can imagine how arrogant that thief is. He stole the entire supermarket's food and even dared to leave a note pointing out that he did it. He even wrote his address. And he's shameless to the extreme. He asked us to be his lackeys. Even his goal is the beauty. This bastard wants to take advantage of this opportunity to pick up girls. They were extremely angry. They all wanted to catch Xia Ping and beat him up. They wanted to see why this kid dared to be so arrogant. The contestants in the 8th area were stunned. They didn't expect that they were not the only victims. Even the 7th area was affected. It was exactly the same as them. As the saying goes, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its nest, but this guy even ate the grass near its nest. At this time, another group of people came in the distance. Some of them were also wrapped in white bandages. It seemed that many people were injured. They should have been attacked by beasts. Brothers, can I ask you something? A tall student came up to him aggressively. Do you know how to get to XX Villa in XX district? We want to go to that place to find someone. You're not looking for Xia Ping, are you? The tall student and the others were all dumbfounded, all of them looking at the tall student. The man was also stunned. That's right, we are indeed looking for Xia Ping. Is this bastard very famous? Don't tell me you guys also came here to cause trouble for him because your food was stolen by this bastard, the taller student asked subconsciously as he looked at the group of people. That person was even more shocked. How do you know everything? That's amazing. Their intel is really good. Our 9th region's food was taken away by a thief called Xia Ping. Now, everyone in the 9th region is hungry, and everyone is shouting that they want to find trouble with this bastard. He gritted his teeth, revealing his anger, and clenched his huge fists. The people in the 9th region were also extremely sad and indignant. In order to go to the 8th region, they also paid a huge price. On the way, they encountered hundreds of ferocious beasts, all of them terrifying. Immediately, 5 or 6 students were attacked by these ferocious beasts, seriously injured and eliminated. The rest of the people were also injured, but they just bandaged their wounds and rushed over without stopping. One could imagine how angry they were now. They could not wait to catch Xia Ping and beat him up. God punishes Xia Ping. The tall student looked up to the sky and sighed. I didn't expect that the contestants in the 8th region would be killed by him. Even the 7th and 9th regions next to us couldn't escape. How can he do such evil things? How shameless. He could be said to have been driven mad by Xia Ping's evil deeds. Not only their 8th region had suffered, but even the 7th and 9th regions had also been killed. God knows if there were other students in other regions who had also been poisoned by this bastard. If this bastard was not killed, then the students in this qualifier would never have a day of peace. Needless to say, this Xia Ping is a locust, everyone has the right to kill him. Go and find trouble with him immediately. He actually dared to steal our food. He is asking for a beating. He actually dares to make an enemy of so many of us. He is simply overestimating himself. Catch that bastard and beat him up to vent the anger in my heart. That bastard wants to starve us to death. If I don't beat him up for half an hour, I will not be a human. Everyone was roaring, one by one filled with righteous indignation. The mighty, aggressive, rushed toward the area where Xia Ping was, and the ferocious beasts along the way were frightened and avoided them. And this scene was immediately seen by the audience, and the picture was transmitted to various live broadcast platforms. Oh my God, this Xia Ping is simply the best. He emptied the entire supermarket of food, and he even dared to leave a note, pointing out that he did it himself and leaving his address. What the hell is his brain made of? How can he do such a thing? He has provoked public anger. How can he still get away with it? So many people have gone up to find trouble with him. He has no life. It is estimated that he will be beaten up for half an hour, and he will be unrecognizable. Tomorrow, he will have to go to Tianshui City Mei Lai Cosmetic Hospital for cosmetic surgery. One by one, the audience is speechless, wondering why this guy can do this kind of thing. This is clearly looking for death. This Xia Ping is really the best. Qiu Xue, the head teacher, was also watching the live broadcast on TV. When she saw this scene, she felt a headache in her brain. If she was on the scene, she would definitely grab the bastard's ear and ask him if his head was filled with water. Ha, I knew that this Xia Ping liked to die, but I didn't expect him to be so stupid. Isn't it? At least hundreds of people are looking for trouble with him, all of them are elites. This kid will definitely be beaten up. It's great, finally, someone sanctions this shameless bastard, God bless us. So, God still has eyes, not no retribution, but the time is not right. Gao Wan, Yang Wei, and others who have enmity with Xia Ping are all overjoyed, even ecstatic, and they can see Xia Ping being beaten up, they are all excited. In the VIP room of Tianshui City, some big shots in the VIP room also saw this scene. All of them were speechless, they did not know how to evaluate this kid's approach. Obviously, this guy is good, but his head is filled with water. Interesting. Chapter 126. At this time, in the villa, Han Shan and the others were monitoring the environment around the villa. Suddenly, they saw a large number of people walking towards them. They panicked and went to report. Oh, no, there's a large number of people coming to our villa. They're coming aggressively. They're not coming with good intentions. Han Shan hurriedly shouted. He felt that the matter might have been exposed. Oh, it should be some people who can't find food. Xia Ping was very calm because he already knew that there would be a lot of people coming to find trouble with him. Just now, the system prompted him to get a lot of hatred. He saw the increase in hatred and was in a very good mood. How could they find us so quickly? Feng Hetang couldn't believe it. When we emptied the supermarket of food, not many people should know. How did they know our address? He felt that this information had been leaked too quickly. It's very simple, because I told them. At that time, I also left a note in the supermarket. Xia Ping said lightly. What? Feng Hetang and the others were so angry that their noses were crooked. This bastard was definitely a madman. He actually dared to leave a note after doing such an evil thing. He was clearly courting death. What kind of thief stole something from someone else's house and pointed out that it was him who did it? Now, they were being found by an angry crowd. How could they still have a life? Xia Ping, get your ass out here right now. At this moment, a loud voice came from outside the villa's main gate, shouting towards the inside. There were also people desperately pressing the doorbell. Some of the students were even more angry to the extreme. They stared at the luxurious villa with green eyes. They had worked hard to snatch the token. They were thirsty and tired. They didn't know how sad they were. But this kid actually hid in a luxurious villa to rest, and even ate fish and meat all day long. How unfair was this? God was really too unfair. With a bang, the door of the villa opened. At this time, several people appeared at the door. It was Xia Ping, Feng Hetang, Han Shan, and a few others. They appeared in front of everyone. What's the noise? Don't you know it's late at night? Can you afford to affect the quality of my sleep? Do you have any manners? Xia Ping said discontentedly. He was holding a piece of butter bread in his mouth and eating it. Instantly, a fragrant aroma filled the air. A group of starving students immediately felt their stomachs bulge. Their eyes turned green as they stared fiercely at the bread, wishing they could immediately snatch it. What are you looking at? Have you never seen others eat before? Xia Ping continued to chomp on the bread and quickly finished it, which made the group of students go crazy. Immediately, a tall student stood up and berated, Xia Ping, immediately hand over the food you plundered and distribute it to everyone. You must also kowtow and apologize to us. Only then will we forgive your crimes. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences tonight. He glared fiercely at Xia Ping. His eyes were very ferocious, like a wolf. Yes, immediately kowtow and apologize, then distribute food. A piece of trash wants to monopolize the food of 3 regions. You're courting death. If you don't kowtow and apologize, we'll beat you until you're half paralyzed. You have to know what you can take and what you can't. You have to understand the rules. A group of students shouted and stared angrily at Xia Ping. They were filled with righteous indignation and shared a common enemy. Feng Hetang and the others saw hundreds of aggressive students staring at them. They were so scared that their legs went soft. Being surrounded by so many people, they would definitely die tonight. Even if each of them took a punch, they would still have to go to the Western Paradise to see Buddha. Oh no, this time they were really done in by this brainless bastard Xia Ping. Following this bastard really didn't bring them any benefits, and they even caused a lot of trouble. Feng Hetang and the others wanted to run away, but now that they were surrounded by so many people, even if they wanted to escape, it was impossible. Xia Ping. The tall student stared at Xia Ping arrogantly and looked down at him. He clenched his huge fist and said, "Get over here immediately, kowtow to me, and pass through my crotch. Otherwise, you can't imagine the consequences. You want to monopolize the food of 3 regions? You're not qualified to be the king." Whoosh! In an instant, Xia Ping's body suddenly moved. Like a hurricane, he suddenly attacked and kicked the tall student's body. A huge force of tens of thousands of kilograms erupted, like a flood bursting a dam. With a bang, the tall student flew out like a cannonball, smashing into the crowd. 5 or 6 students were sent flying in succession, and they all screamed. In the end, he scraped the ground for dozens of meters and smashed into a wall on the opposite side. With a few cracking sounds, the cement wall couldn't withstand this huge impact. More than a dozen cracks appeared, and gravel rolled down. You. The tall student was horrified. He felt severe pain spread throughout his body. His fingers trembled as he pointed at Xia Ping. He couldn't believe that this kid actually dared to attack him. And what made him even more terrified was that he didn't know when this kid attacked. He couldn't react at all. Whoosh! Xia Ping crossed dozens of meters in a few steps and suddenly came in front of the tall student. He looked at him and said, "You want me to pass through your crotch and kowtow to you to apologize? You're asking me if I'm qualified? Now tell me, am I qualified?" With a slap, he ruthlessly slapped the student's face, causing half of his face to swell. On the spot, 2 or 3 teeth flew out, mixed with blood. Say it. Tell me if I'm qualified or not." With a few slaps, Xia Ping slapped the student more than a dozen times. Finally, with a fierce kick, he broke his left leg with a bang. The bone was broken on the spot, and it broke into 2 or 3 pieces. Ah! The tall student let out a shrill scream like a pig being slaughtered. He foamed at the mouth and his neck was crooked. He couldn't say anything at all and immediately fainted from the pain. Speak, why don't you say it? I'm waiting for you to say it. With a few slaps, Xia Ping slapped him a few more times. Seeing this, Han Shan couldn't help but say, Big brother, he's been knocked out by you. He can't say anything even if he wants to. Feng Hatong and the others were terrified. This bastard was simply a demon. He beat people up without saying a word. Even if he was unconscious, he still hit him hard. It was too terrifying. Thinking of how he had been tortured by this bastard before, he immediately felt a chill. Xia Ping, stop immediately. The students were dumbfounded and glared at Xia Ping. This bastard was too overbearing and arrogant. He stole all their food and dared to beat their people in public. He was simply too arrogant. Chapter 127. You want me to stop? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at these students disdainfully. You think you can force me by gathering a group of people and coming to my villa aggressively? Too naive. Why don't you think about why I dare to collect the food in 3 areas and plunder it, leaving nothing behind? The reason is very simple, I am not afraid of you trash joining forces. So what if you come together? I stand here motionless and let you beat me, and you can't make me take half a step back. A few ants gathered together, and you think you can challenge an elephant, you are a little too arrogant. He looked at the audience, exuding a powerful aura, spiritual force oppression, and the wind whistling. In the eyes of everyone, he was like an insurmountable mountain. Han Shan and others looked dumbfounded. They didn't expect that this kid was so arrogant that he dared to say such a thing in the face of so many people. Isn't he afraid of offending the public? I fuck his uncle for 18 generations, who is arrogant? This guy's tone is boundless, we are ants, he is an elephant. This bastard is at most in the realm of the 8th heaven of martial arts. So many of us are weaker than him. He doesn't have much ability, but his tone is very big, and he dares to say that no matter how we beat him, we can't make him take half a step back. Who does he think he is? Is he a martial sage? Since he wants to die, let's help him and beat him half to death. Let's see if he can still be so stubborn. Many students were stunned by Xia Ping's words, and all of their lungs were exploding. In the face of so many of them, this guy was not only not afraid, but also dared to mock them face to face and look down on them. If they don't give this guy a little color to see, who will look up to them after this competition is over? Go, kill him! A student roared. Immediately, dozens of students rushed up and surrounded Xia Ping, and Xia Ping stood in place, motionless, looking at these students with disdain. It seemed that he did not intend to fight back at all. Bang bang bang. These people punched and kicked, attacking various parts of Xia Ping's body. They used all of their abilities, even using the profound mysteries of fist arts and ultimate arts. Their power was incomparably fierce. Han Shan and the others were dumbfounded. These people who came to participate in the qualifiers were at least above the 7th heavenly layer, 8th heavenly layer, and even 9th heavenly layer. All of them were elites of the school, tyrannical and unparalleled. Even if it is a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of martial arts, facing the attack of so many people, they have to flee. If they are a step late, they will be beaten half to death and directly sent to the hospital for emergency treatment for half a year. Whether they can be rescued or not is still another matter. But this kid just stood there without any intention of fighting back. But how could Han Shan and others know the power of Dark Northa's protective skill? This was a cultivation technique that made Xia Ping stronger the stronger he was. Strength of the same level would not be able to harm Xia Ping at all. Instead, it would strengthen his cultivation, allowing him to continuously grow stronger. When he was on Beast Island, Lin Bao, the leader of the cheetah regiment, who had a half-step martial artist realm, could not make him suffer any harm. After 2 weeks of cultivation, now Xia Ping has become stronger. The attacks of these students can only tickle him and help him digest the energy hidden in the depths of his body. How is it possible? Why is this kid okay? Nothing happened to him. After beating for a long time, a student collapsed because he found that the damn Xia Ping was still standing in the same place, motionless, and he couldn't even cause a scar on the other party's body. When their fists hit this person, it was like hitting a sponge. All the strength was absorbed cleanly, and they couldn't cause any damage at all. After beating for a long time, this kid was fine, but they were all exhausted. After all, now they have been hungry all day, thirsty and tired, and there is no strength left. I said long ago, you are just ants. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back, calm and composed, standing here and being beaten by you. I will be fine, and I will not retreat half a step. Recognize the reality, you are just waste. His words were like a heavy hammer, fiercely bombarding the hearts of these top students in the school. Which of these students is not a top 10 master in the school? They have long been used to being outstanding and used to beating people weaker than themselves. When have they ever tried their best to defeat an enemy? Moreover, the other party is not much stronger than them, just a powerhouse in the 8th heaven of martial arts. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. I am not a waste, I can't be a waste. Damn bastard, I don't believe you are really so strong that I can't beat you. Pour it for me, pour it for me. A group of students went crazy, using all the strength of their body, frantically bombarding Xia Ping's body, their fists like a seal, exerting the greatest potential of their lives. But the gap is a gap, like a chasm, no matter how hard tofu works, it can't be harder than steel. They beat for a long time, but Xia Ping was not hurt at all. Instead, the energy in his body was constantly digested, strengthening the true qi in his body, strengthening his physique, and tempering his body. In the end, their strength was getting weaker and weaker, and they couldn't punch out a powerful punch at all. Xia Ping also felt that if this went on, these top students would have no effect on his cultivation, and immediately said impatiently, after fighting for so long, you can't let me take a step back. I'm tired of playing this kind of game with you. Get out of here. With a bang, at this moment, Xia Ping made a move, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a punch and a kick erupted with the power of tens of thousands of pounds. The destructive power was terrifying. With a punch, 5 or 6 students around were blasted out, one by one, they hit the cement wall and couldn't be pulled out. With a kick, several students were kicked away at once, all hanging on the big trees on the side of the road, and they had no strength. Get out! Xia Ping rushed into the crowd, displaying exquisite fist techniques, one punch and one kick, all natural and extremely powerful. And those students have long been beaten up by Xia Ping, plus thirsty and tired, and their bodies have no strength at all. In the face of Xia Ping, how can they resist? One by one, they screamed and were beaten half to death, all of them were knocked to the ground. This. Han Shan and the others were dumbfounded, because after a few breaths, these people who came to get smashed were all beaten to the ground, like a pool of mud. There were even a few who were so seriously injured that they were directly eliminated. Hang these trash, hang them on the villa, as a demonstration. Xia Ping waved his hand and ordered Han Shan and a few lackeys to hang all these people with ropes. Yes, big brother. Seeing this scene, Han Shan and the others were immediately in awe, as if they were gods. Chapter 128. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Soon, under the action of Han Shan and others, the students who were knocked down to the ground were tied up one by one. Their hands and feet were tied tightly, and they could not move at all. Then these students hung their hands in front of the villa door, like a string of gourds. Hundreds of students were hung up like this. How spectacular it was. And such a scene was also broadcasted and seen by countless audiences. Oh my God, this kid is too arrogant, he is clearly establishing his prestige. Hundreds of students came to look for trouble, but they were not this kid's opponents. Instead, they were beaten half to death and hung up in public. This kid is establishing his prestige, but these students are miserable. Being seen by so many people, it is estimated that they will lose all their face. They deserve it. They think that they don't have to pay the price for looking for trouble. Is there such a good thing in the world? Fart, who was the one who started the trouble first? Many audiences saw this scene and they were all in an uproar and stunned. They have never seen such a scene before. Hundreds of elite students were hung up, which is simply unheard of. But in this way, the topic immediately spread throughout Tianshui City, and the ratings were also rising steadily. The staff of the TV station were all laughing. It is estimated that the ratings of this Tianshui City high school fighting competition should be the highest in years. This bully actually extended his evil hand to other schools again, it's too hateful. Is there no one who can punish him? He is actually allowed to run amok here and act recklessly. It's too miserable. It's fine if they can't beat this bastard, but they were actually hung up and demonstrated in public. This bastard continues to show off again. If this goes on, wouldn't all the high school students in Tianshui City be trampled by him and let this bastard dominate? At that time, all the girls will be taken by him, where will we get a share? When Yang Wei and the others who had been poisoned by Xia Ping saw this scene, all of them were filled with grief and indignation. A trace of sympathy arose in their hearts. They could empathize with the suffering of those students who had been hung up. Once upon a time, they were also humiliated like this by this shameless Xia Ping, but they couldn't do anything to him. Thinking about how the top students of the various universities were even more miserable than them and even made a fool of themselves in front of so many people, one could imagine how many people would laugh at them in the future. All of them were gnashing their teeth, hoping that someone could punish Xia Ping, this shameless tyrant, and not allow him to continue being so cocky. But the night passed quickly, and no such person appeared. As for Xia Ping, he meditated and cultivated in his bedroom. He cultivated for the whole night. Just as the first ray of sunlight shone in through the window, Xia Ping suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a cold glint. He could feel the true qi in his body, which had been continuously strengthening last night, surging crazily. Boom! In an instant, his ninth meridian was opened, and the true qi that was like a tide finally connected the ninth meridian, allowing him to advance to the ninth layer of martial disciple. Immediately, Xia Ping felt that the surging spiritual qi in his body was at least twice as strong as before. Even his body's strength, speed, and reflexes had improved by leaps and bounds. His spiritual power had also been greatly expanded, becoming twice as strong as before. This is the ninth layer of martial disciple. Xia Ping clenched his fists, feeling the strength in his body to the extreme. The 9 meridians were connected, growing endlessly, and the meridians of the whole body seemed to be connected at this moment. The 8th layer of martial disciple and the 9th layer of martial disciple are not the same level of realm at all. It can be said that the strong who reaches the 9th layer of martial disciple is at least several times stronger than the 8th layer of martial disciple. Once the 9 meridians are connected and perfectly integrated into one, forming a wonderful cycle, the true qi can be endless, tyrannical, and several times stronger than the 8th layer of martial disciple. Only such a majestic true qi, filling the meridians of the whole body, can be qualified to connect the Baihui acupoint, promote to the martial disciple realm, and reach the realm of true qi. I didn't expect that after last night's refining, I suddenly broke through the bottleneck of the 8th layer of martial disciple. This is really an unexpected surprise. Xia Ping smiled slightly. He thought that it would take at least a few weeks for him to cultivate to the 9th layer of martial disciple. But who would have thought that after being assisted by those contestants, his absorption of energy in his body accelerated, and he finally got the opportunity to break through and was promoted to the 9th layer of martial disciple. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, he stood up and immediately used his fist art. Many phantoms appeared in the room, displaying all kinds of profound meanings of the fist art. It was full of vigor. There seemed to be a roar of dragons and tigers in the void, and the wind whistled. When a set of fist techniques hit down, the entire room was fragmented, as if it had been raged by a typhoon. What's wrong? Did someone sneak attack? Such a sound also alarmed Han Shan and others. They were all in the next room. One by one, they rushed over to watch and immediately saw Xia Ping's room in a mess. They thought they had been attacked. But as long as they saw Xia Ping's fierce power last night, who would have the courage to sneak attack? Are they not afraid of death? It's not a sneak attack, it's just a little interest in practicing martial arts early in the morning. Xia Ping was calm and relaxed. He felt that his body was very happy. It seemed that every cell was cheering and full of strength. Being promoted to the 9th layer of martial disciple was really extraordinary. He felt that he was more than twice as strong as before. It was estimated that even if the powerhouse of the 1st layer of the martial disciple realm came, he might not be afraid. Of course, this is just a guess. Without a real fight, he doesn't know. As expected of the big brother, you started practicing martial arts early in the morning. You are so diligent. No wonder you are so strong. Feng Hetang was very skilled in flattering, and it had become a conditioned reflex. Xia Ping waved his hand and said, "By the way, what happened to those people hanging outside the villa? They were hung all night, and no one dared to save them." Feng Hetang said, "But there were 5 or 6 students who couldn't bear it and chose to give up automatically. They were saved by the organizers and now they have been eliminated." Speaking of this, his face was very contemptuous. They couldn't bear such torture alone. It was almost impossible to climb to a higher realm of martial arts in the future. It can be said that these people who abstain here basically have no future, and those martial arts organizations who are observing the fighting competition will also give up this kind of people who have no perseverance in the first place. Very well, they were hung all night, thirsty and tired. I believe they are also honest. Let's go out and see them together. Xia Ping waved his hand and immediately walked out of the room. Han Shan and others saw this and followed out. Chapter 129. Hello, everyone. Xia Ping came in front of these people and greeted them. He looked refreshed. Good my ass. Hearing this familiar voice, the students who were hung up lifted their heads and glared at Xia Ping. They wanted nothing more than to pounce on him and bite him to death. They had been hung at the door for a whole night and hadn't eaten for a day and a night. They were beaten up by this bastard and suffered some injuries. One could imagine how miserable they were. It could be said that they would never forget last night in their lives. It could be said to be the most difficult night of their lives. If not for the fear of being eliminated and causing other martial arts organizations to have a bad evaluation of them, they would have given up the competition long ago. Xia Ping, what do you want? A student said sullenly, "It's our fault that we came to find trouble with you. But how long do you want to hang us here? Do you want to hang us here until the end of the competition?" Everyone looked at Xia Ping. If Xia Ping really planned to do this, they would immediately give up the competition. Otherwise, if they continued to stay here, they would only be tortured. Let me ask you. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm and composed. He asked, "Last night, I went to the supermarket to take away the food. I monopolized it and beat you up. Do you admit defeat?" He just looked at them, looking at them indifferently. Admit defeat? Admit defeat my ass. When these students heard these words, they were all half dead with anger. He beat them up and asked them if they admitted defeat. This was obviously to humiliate them. But they also understood that if they dared to say that they did not admit defeat, they were afraid that this guy would definitely not let them go. This guy was forcing them to express their stance and lower their heads. What are you talking about? Big brother asked you if you admit defeat? You are not talking. Does it mean that you are still not convinced and want to hang here for a night? Lackey Feng Hatang shouted and immediately went up to point at them. Big brother, these bastards seem to be not convinced. Why don't we continue to hang them until they admit defeat? I think it would be more effective to drag them out and beat them up for half an hour. Pour some chili water on them and I guarantee that they will be obedient. Han Shan and the others were also giving suggestions. Shameless lackeys. What a vicious fellow. His heart was too black. Why didn't the heavens strike these black-hearted bastards to death? They actually thought of such a vicious method. Were they still human? Hearing this, the faces of these students turned green. If they were really tortured like this, they would probably lose their human form. We're convinced. We're completely convinced. All the food is yours. Let us go. We know we were wrong. We won't dare to provoke you again. One by one, the students wailed. They were completely convinced. Even if they were still unconvinced in their hearts, at least they were convinced with their mouths. There was nothing he could do about it. He had no choice but to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. It's good that you're convinced. I like honest people like you the most. Of course, there were some who were dishonest before, but after being taught a lesson, they all became honest. Xia Ping was very satisfied. He waved his hand. Put them down and tell them to scram. Don't let them ruin the city. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Feng Hatang and the others immediately took action and put the students down one by one. Are you letting us go just like that? After they were put down, these students were all dumbfounded. They didn't expect Xia Ping to let them go so easily. Xia Ping said lightly, "Of course, I'm a person who keeps his promises the most. I won't go back on my words. If I say I'll let you go, I'll let you go." He showed an indomitable look. What are you still waiting for here? Big brother has already let you go. Hurry up and scram. Do you still want to stay here to eat? Feng Hatang drove these people away. Hearing the word eat, the stomachs of the students present immediately rumbled. They felt exhausted because they hadn't eaten for a day and a night. They were really hungry. Can you give us some food to eat? These students looked at Xia Ping eagerly because the food in the 3 nearby areas had been snatched by this bastard. Even if they wanted to search nearby, they wouldn't be able to find it. And according to their current physical condition, they couldn't pass through the 3 areas. To be more serious, if they left these 3 areas and went to other areas, would they really be able to find food? Would there be some bastards like Xia Ping who plundered all the food? They weren't sure. Bullshit, you should be grateful that I let you go. You actually dare to boast that you want food. Why don't you go to heaven? You're a bit too greedy. Han Shan and the others scolded. Xia Ping waved his hand and stopped these people from talking. He said, "You want to eat? That's not impossible." Really? Many students looked at Xia Ping eagerly. This guy seemed to be very easy to talk to. Maybe he was a good person. They might have misunderstood him before. Of course, I believe you also know that there's no free lunch in this world. If you want food, you have to pay a certain price. Xia Ping looked at these students indifferently. A student swallowed his saliva. What do you want us to do? I won't ask you to do anything too difficult. Xia Ping stated his requirements. If you do things for me, I'll give you food. That's fair, right? I'll give you a cup of instant noodles for hiring you for a day. If you do well, I can reward you with a piece of bread. What? Hearing these words, the faces of those students turned green. Fuck, they only gave him a cup of instant noodles for working for him for a day. Even the ancient Zhou Bapi was not so stingy. They even thought that this guy was a good person for a second. In modern society, hiring an ordinary person cost $100 a day, and they were martial arts powerhouses and top students of the school. The value of their labor was even higher. They couldn't even get $200 or $300 a day. But this bastard wanted to hire them for a day with a box of instant noodles and reward them with a piece of bread? What a joke. This method of exploiting people was already superb. What black-hearted boss could not compare to this guy? Moreover, hiring sounded nice. In fact, this bastard just wanted them to be his lackeys. He just threw out a bone and let them rush up and bite it. He was looking down on them too much. After all, they were also top students of the school. In the future, all of them would be elites of society. How could they agree to such a ridiculous and humiliating request? What the hell was going on? Why did someone agree so quickly? The group of people was dumbfounded because they saw a fat student immediately shouting, "I agree. Hurry up and give me something to eat. If I don't eat, I'll starve to death." Xia Ping touched his chin. Very good. Since you're the first to agree, there's a big prize. You can get 2 cups of instant noodles a day. He raised 2 fingers. Thank you, big brother. The student was grateful. Chapter 130. With the first one surrendering, it was only natural for the second and third to surrender. If they didn't want to be eliminated because of hunger, they could only agree to Xia Ping's conditions. Therefore, the hundreds of people who wanted to cause trouble for Xia Ping all agreed to Xia Ping's request and became his temporary lackeys. Then, Xia Ping instructed Han Shan and the others to give each of them a cup of instant noodles as an advance payment. Suddenly, a spectacular scene appeared in the villa. Hundreds of students squatted on the ground and ate instant noodles. They all looked happy as if this was the happiest moment of their lives. Some students were still choking and crying. Oh my God, I never knew that instant noodles were so delicious. This is simply the most delicious thing in the world. A student looked up at the sky and sighed, tears rolling down his face. A student next to him was also very emotional. He looked at the instant noodles in his hands and said, "Isn't that so? Look at the soup, the noodles, the seasoning. It's simply the most delicious delicacy in the world. No chef can make it. I actually thought it was junk food and didn't care about it. It seems that was a big mistake." The other students nodded. They had been hungry for a day and a night and had been hung up in the cold wind for a night. They were already going crazy. It was an exaggeration to say that even if they ate tree bark, they would think it was potato chips. Not to mention a delicacy like instant noodles. Even exotic delicacies couldn't compare to it. In that case, we still have to thank Xia Ping. He was the one who showed us the value of food. Thank my ass. I want to cover this bastard with a sack and beat him up in a remote alley. If not for him, we wouldn't have fallen to the point where a cup of instant noodles is so delicious. He caused us so much trouble and you're thanking him with a cup of instant noodles? Why are you so cheap? I'm sorry, that guy up there is my classmate. He just came out of the mental hospital and came to the competition without taking his medication. But don't worry, everyone. Other than a little mental problem, he's fine. Damn, that's the big problem. What if he doesn't distinguish between friend and foe and suddenly beats up his own people? Many students were secretly discussing, but their voices were very soft. They were afraid that Xia Ping would find out. Otherwise, they would definitely be caught and beaten up. That was why he only dared to issue such a prison in secret, cursing in secret. This scene was naturally seen by Yang Wei, Gao Wan, and others who have enemies with Xia Ping through live TV. Damn Xia Ping, let's see what evil things this bastard has done. Isn't that right? Originally, these top students in the school all came from good families. Even if they didn't eat delicacies every day, they would at least have 3 dishes and 1 soup. Now, look at how Xia Ping starved them to this state. They even cried when eating a cup of instant noodles. If this Xia Ping becomes the boss of a company, I don't know how much he will exploit his employees. He just casually rewards them with some instant noodles, and these employees will be moved to tears and worship him like a god. Modern Zhou Bapi, dig out his heart and take a look. I guarantee it's all black. To be honest, I can be considered a stingy person. I never turn on the air conditioner in the summer, and I use cold water in the winter to save electricity. One piece of clothing can last me for 10 years. When I go out to eat, I will definitely lick the soup clean. But this guy can't even stand me. This bastard is clearly squeezing his employees. He can't eat enough even if he works like a cow or a horse. This is not a human being at all. Gao Wan and others are scolding Xia Ping and despising this guy's character. If they were on the scene, they would definitely stand up and lead the crowd to resist the tyranny of this bastard. Half an hour later, these students ate a cup of instant noodles one after another, but it was not enough. It could only be regarded as barely recovering a little vitality. At least they were not as hungry as before and couldn't even move. And taking advantage of this time, they also bandaged the injuries on their bodies, and they could exert 60% to 70% of their combat power. As a martial arts expert, their physical fitness is extremely strong, and some minor injuries are nothing at all. In fact, the students who can continue to participate in the competition are not too seriously injured. If the injuries were serious, they would have been eliminated long ago and would not have stayed here. Well, since everyone has finished eating, let's get to work. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the group of students. A student blinked. Work? What work? The other students were also very confused. Of course, to grab the token. Xia Ping's eyes showed a glimmer of light. More than a day had passed, and people in the entire simulation city had grabbed the tokens from the monsters one after another. Even though the monsters guarding the tokens are very powerful, the students are not going to fight each other to the death, just to grab the token beside it. Therefore, as long as they use a trick to lure those monsters away, they can easily get the token. But it sounds simple. In fact, it is extremely difficult to do this. It requires extremely strong martial arts cultivation, calm psychological quality, smart mind, and other qualities to succeed. However, the students who can participate in the high school fighting competition are all among the top 10 students in the school. It is normal for them to be excellent, and there are many who can do these things. But don't think that the game is over just because you get the token from the monster, because there is a locator on the token, and any student will know the location of the token. Therefore, the students who know the location of the token will go up and grab it, and the student who gets the token will be besieged from all directions. Unless the game is over, there will be no peace. Only those who can resist the attacks of countless students and still keep the token are qualified to advance to the top 16. This is the overwhelming strength that no one can dispute. Big brother, I have investigated. Feng Hatang immediately went forward. Near the 8th zone, there are already 2 or 3 tokens that seem to have been taken. They are frantically moving to avoid the attacks of other students. Maybe, we can make a move on these 3 people. Hearing this, Xia Ping smiled. The reason why he didn't kill these students and eliminate them was because he wanted to get the strength of these students to help him get the token. With so many people helping to surround them, the students who got the token will definitely have nowhere to run. Alright, we will make a move on these 3 people. Xia Ping looked at the many students. If we can get 3 tokens, I only want one of them, and the remaining 2 will be given to the 2 who contributed the most. I will not go back on my word. What? Hearing this, many students were tempted. The reason why they stayed to continue the competition was because they hoped to get the token and advance to the top 16. Before, if they only relied on their own strength, they may not be able to get a token at all, but if they borrow the strength of others, it may not be impossible. Their thoughts flickered. Although this Xia Ping is using them, why can't they take this opportunity to use this guy to get the token? Once they get the token, they will immediately run away, and this bastard can't do anything to them. All of a sudden, the spirit and appearance of these students changed. They were no longer as perfunctory as before, because this was a great opportunity. Devil. Chapter 131. Sim City, in a remote alley. Damn it, why are you chasing me so closely? A student with a buzz cut hid in this place in a panic. After he got a token, he was ecstatic, thinking that he could smoothly advance to the top 16, and he just had to wait for the end of the game. But he didn't expect that after getting the token, it was the beginning of the nightmare. Because this token has a locator system, every hour, it will send a signal to other places, letting other contestants know that the token is in his hands. If that's the case, he can avoid the pursuit of other students as long as he changes his position every once in a while. After all, the locator on the token doesn't always send a signal. The people nearby can only know the location of the token an hour ago, which also gives him some time to escape. Before, it was with his ability to quickly move, cautious character, and superb acting ability that he had been avoiding the contestants who came to attack him and was safe and sound until now. But who would have thought that he would encounter a person who was chasing him? No matter how he fled, he kept following him, like a hound, and he couldn't get rid of the other party's tracking. Whiz! At this moment, a figure appeared in front of the student with a buzz cut, blocking his way. This person was Xia Ping. The locator of his tracking watch, coupled with the 10,000 miles tracking technique, captured the smell of the other party, and finally blocked this person in the alley. Kid, don't go too far. The student with a buzz cut gritted his teeth and stared at Xia Ping. You have been chasing me for a long time, don't think that I dare not deal with you. The reason why you can still stand now is that I am worried that you will attract others. If you know what's good for you, get out of here immediately. Don't get in the way here. Although I can't kill people during the game, it's still possible for me to make you a third-level disabled person. Even if the referee wants to rescue you, it's too late, you know? He threatened Xia Ping with a grim face, squeezing his fists, and his bones crackled. In fact, he is also quite confident. He is a cultivator who has the 8th heavenly layer of martial arts. Even among many contestants, he is extremely powerful. If it's just to deal with one person, it's not a problem at all. Who said I'm alone? Xia Ping looked at the student with a buzz cut contemptuously. After a few claps, he clapped his hands. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, silhouettes appeared in front and behind the alley. Some jumped over the wall, some jumped out of the windows of the nearby buildings, and some came from the entrance of the alley. They came in all sorts of ways. These people surrounded the alley in an instant. There seemed to be at least 100 of them. Moreover, each of these people exuded a powerful aura as they stared at the buzz-cut student like hungry wolves. Seeing this shocking scene, the buzz-cut student's face turned green. He trembled and said, "You've gone too far. We agreed to have a one-on-one fight. Why did you bring so many people here? You're breaking the rules, you know. If you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one." He was so scared that he retreated again and again, and his legs were trembling because there were too many people on the other side. There were hundreds of people, and each of them was at least a powerhouse in the 7th heaven of martial arts. If these people swarmed him, he would be beaten to a pulp with just a few punches. How could he be a match? However, how did this bastard manage to gather so many people, and they even listened to his orders? Didn't they say that the schools were full of competition and it was impossible for them to work together? One-on-one. Yes, it is indeed a one-on-one. Xia Ping disdainfully said, "It's you alone against a group of us. Choose, do you want to give up the token and be beaten by us for half an hour, or do not give up the token and be beaten by us for 30 minutes? What he liked most was to bully others with more people. One-on-one. Did he really think he was stupid? Shameless. The buzzcut student was mad. Doesn't that mean I have to be beaten by you if I don't give up the token? Is there such a choice? You are too wicked and inhumane. Also, don't think that I haven't read a book. Can't I hear you secretly change your words? 30 minutes and half an hour are the same, don't think I'm an idiot. Where was this a choice? It was clear that he wanted to beat him up by relying on the number of people. He was very angry. Yes, it's all the same. No matter what, you have to be beaten up. Who told you to waste so much of my time running around and don't know how to obediently hand over the token? This is an education of love. Xia Ping thought that this approach was full of benefits for him and a kind of sharpening. Education my ass. Everyone was a student, a peer, and he actually wanted to educate him. Did he really think he was a teacher? Even if he was arrogant, he should stop. The buzzcut student was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Go to hell. As soon as the voice fell, the buzzcut student rushed over like a tiger and leopard, extremely fierce, showing the powerful martial arts cultivation of the eighth heaven of martial arts. A punch came, bursting out with a huge force of thousands of pounds, with a whistling wind, extremely amazing. He thought very clearly, to catch the thief, first catch the king. This Xia Ping in front of him was the boss of this group. If he could subdue this guy, he might be able to use him as a bargaining chip and quickly escape. Dare to resist? If the tiger doesn't show its power, I'll be a sick cat. Xia Ping's eyes showed a trace of cold light, and he suddenly made a move. Boom! The fist and the palm collided with each other, and a loud noise broke out on the spot. Ah! The buzzcut student screamed. He felt an unparalleled force passing through, extending from his fist to his arm inch by inch, and even penetrating into his internal organs. The whole person had no resistance, and he was blasted out, directly smashing out more than 10 meters. The people behind also knew this situation and stepped aside. Immediately, the buzzcut student was smashed into a mess, and several of his ribs were broken. How can he be so strong? The buzzcut student coughed up blood and looked at Xia Ping in horror. He didn't expect that this kid looked so weak, but he was so powerful. The power of this palm alone was like a flood breaking the dam, completely above him. Drag him down and beat him for half an hour. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back, and he didn't intend to answer the student's words at all. He was just a defeated opponent. How could he be qualified to ask him? Yes. A group of lackeys rushed forward like wolves and tigers, beating up the buzzcut student. No, 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 don't hit me, I surrender, I really surrender. The buzzcut student let out a shrill scream, as if his innocence was seized by a demon in his sleep, and his chrysanthemum was punctured. Boss, this is the token. Lackey Han Shan immediately took the token from the buzzcut student and respectfully handed it to Xia Ping, without the slightest greed in his eyes. Because there were a few people who tried to snatch the token before, but before they could take a few steps, they were caught by Xia Ping. One could imagine their fate, and their screams probably resounded through the whole city. Very good, get 2 more, and all the nearby tokens will be ours. Chapter 132. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and night fell. The news of Xia Ping leading a group of people to beat up students and snatch tokens spread like wildfire, causing countless students in the simulation city to be incomparably terrified. Have you heard? A bully is running amok in the qualifiers, gathering hundreds of people to deal with those who got the token. I also heard that those who got the token were beaten so badly, it was as if they had undergone plastic surgery, they were unrecognizable. Damn, didn't they say that students in different schools don't know each other? How did that kid gather so many people? Could it be that this kid's charisma is off the charts, and with a shout, a bunch of people will bow their heads and worship him? Worship your ass. Some people guessed that the bully Xia Ping must be a young master with a deep background and a very rich family. Before the competition, he bribed the top students of various universities to help him. What the hell, isn't this cheating? To do such a thing, if you have money, why don't you bribe me? Who told him to be rich and powerful? We can't do anything to that bastard. However, the most shameless ones are those lackeys. All of them have low moral standing, without the slightest bit of dignity as a martial artist. They are the most ferocious in beating people up, they are so ruthless. That's right, lackeys are the most despicable. For that little bit of money, they actually bend their knees to others and become lackeys, loyal and devoted. Don't they know how to constantly strive for self-improvement? Don't talk about them like that, maybe those people are sick. Those bastards definitely won't have a good ending, sooner or later, someone will take care of them. A group of students discussed animatedly. They were extremely sad and indignant. All of them hated the bully Xia Ping, and at the same time, hated those lackeys who helped the tyrant even more. After all, that bastard Xia Ping only gave the order, but the real ones were those lackeys. I also heard from the contestants from Zhengde High School and 88 High School that Xia Ping is a famous bully in their area, and everyone has the right to punish him. A student gritted his teeth. He is a little tyrant in school, bullying men and women, extorting good people. Who knows how many students have been killed by him, and they curse him behind his back. What's more hateful is that he likes to play with women. I don't know how many female high school students have been harmed by him. I heard that more than a dozen of them are pregnant. Those girls want to have an abortion, but he won't pay. He also revealed a lot of gossip that he had heard from other people. Beast. Hearing this, a student was dumbfounded. It's fine if he plays with women, but how can he be such a scumbag? Didn't they say that he's a nouveau riche? So what if he's a tycoon? It's not like I haven't seen stingy tycoons before. Another student said disdainfully, I heard that some of his lackeys worked for him and made great contributions. They were rewarded with a cup of instant noodles. What the fuck? He can even bring out a cup of instant noodles. Is he still human? And this was a great contribution. He's squeezing his employees dry, squeezing out their marrow. Damn vampire, Zhou Bapi. But those lackeys were also strange. They were all ecstatic, as if they had gotten a great deal. That bastard's method of training his lackeys is too brilliant. I wouldn't believe it if he said it wasn't inherited from his family. What a terrifying family descendant. How can he be so powerful? Many students were dumbfounded. They couldn't imagine who would be ecstatic with a cup of instant noodles as a reward. They couldn't imagine such a scene. If we want to deal with this bastard, it's impossible to rely on us alone. We must join forces with experts. A student suggested. Someone immediately said, don't worry, someone has already started to contact the students of Tianshui City's #1 high school. I think they will personally take action and call for help. At that time, this bully Xia Ping's fate will definitely be miserable. A group of people gritted their teeth, wanting to beat up Xia Ping's group. At night, in the villa, the Xia family army, who had been fighting around the simulation city, beating up students and snatching tokens, had also returned. They had worked hard all day and were holding a banquet in the villa. In order to reward these lackeys for their hard work today, Xia Ping decided that each person could get 3 cups of instant noodles, 2 hams, and a bag of potato chips. They could also drink whatever they wanted. There was a reason why he was so generous. This time, not only did he defeat many students, he also snatched back 4 tokens. It could be considered a huge harvest. Everyone has worked hard today. Xia Ping said to everyone, without everyone's encirclement and interception, I wouldn't have been able to snatch 4 tokens. This credit belongs to me and everyone else. Of course, I won't go back on my word. I only want 1 token. The remaining 3 belong to you. He threw out a big pie. When everyone heard this, they were all incomparably excited. Wasn't the reason why they worked so hard to obtain the tokens? And now, they finally had such an opportunity. Big brother. Before Xia Ping could say how to distribute the tokens, Han Shan, who was monitoring the surroundings outside, immediately ran over. His expression was very strange as he said, someone is looking for you outside. Someone is looking for me. Who is it? Xia Ping looked at Han Shan. Han Shan hesitated for a moment and said, it's a student from Shilan High School. What? Everyone was shocked. Shilan High School's students, wasn't it the famous female school in Skywater City? This school was famous for being a noble female school, and everyone there was a young lady. Usually, these young ladies were hidden deep in their boudoirs, and it was not easy to see them, but now they actually appeared here. Shilan High School students. Xia Ping touched his chin. Interesting, let them come in. Yes, big brother. Han Shan immediately went down. Not long after, 5 or 6 women immediately came in from outside the villa. Each of them had a beautiful figure, and their bodies exuded the temperament of a lady from a noble family. If they were placed in any big school, they would all be beauties, and could be regarded as the class belle. However, one of the women was extremely beautiful, and her body exuded a different temperament. It could be said that she was a crane in a flock of chickens, as if the light of the stars in the world had gathered on her body. Nangong Wu. Everyone was shocked as they stared at the woman in the lead. Impressively, it was the #1 expert of Shilan High School, known as the Princess of Sky Water City, Nangong Wu, the dream goddess of countless men. They did not think that they would actually meet Nangong Wu in this place. A group of stinky men. A woman in blue disdainfully looked at the surrounding gazes, as if she was very disgusted that so many men's gazes were gathered on them. Her heart was very unhappy. The other women from Shilan High School were the same, but they still endured it, because this time they came here with a request. You are Xia Ping.